It is 6 p.m. I will call this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, we've been asked to have public comment now, but this is public comment not on the public hearings. The public hearing comment must be made, if it's to be recorded on the record, during the public hearing period. So those who wish to come forward now and speak about any other topic, and we will get to the public hearings when we get to that portion of the agenda. Come forward, please. And state your name and address at the podium. And you have to speak into the microphone.
Hi, I'm Allison Fagan. I live on Halsey Neck Lane. I'm here today quickly because at least we've heard that there have been, again, some meetings about traffic with other of the streets west of First Neck. And so several of us are worried about it and just want to restate, since we have some new trustees, welcome. Thank you. That last year, for instance, just before the initiative, some of you know here that they did a survey of the level of traffic, and Halsey Neck did at that time have the highest volume of traffic prior to the initiative. We also have a highly traversed street, and the traffic is fast because people are racing to get to the end. So even though we don't have the same backups as some of the other streets, we still have a high volume of traffic. And we just want to make sure, since we have two new trustees, that you hear from us that...
Only one new trustee.
Oh, only one?
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah.
That any initiative that prohibits left-hand turns from the neighbors west of us just redirects the traffic to our street. And so if there are new discussions, there seems to be discussions every year, that we're included in that solution. So if there are no left-hand turns on Captains and Lee, there's also no left-hand turns on Halsey Neck Lane. And we're happy to all go back into town if that's the solution for the other streets, if we need to go west. And so, thank you very much.
Thank you, Allison. Anyone else like to speak? Sage, do we have anyone on Zoom?
No hands right now.
Mr. Epley, we're doing a public comment right now. Do you wish to speak?
I would love to.
Okay.
Good timing. How you doing? Congratulations to the newly electeds. I was just reading in the paper and about the annual organizational meeting, and having served as 12 years as the mayor and having gone through 12 of those, I just wanted to say that Trustee Bernstein, the one comment that they quoted you on, saying every expiring term of every board member should be appearing on this agenda, with each individual trustee able to vote on them, and also to submit our nominees to replace these expiring terms so that they just don't roll over. I have a couple comments. So my first comment is, I agree with you with all the terms, okay? When I was mayor, in the annual meetings, we had every single board, all the members of the board, when they were appointed to the board and when their term was up. So everybody knew. And I know Mayor Romanowski had it that way, I had it that way, Mayor Irving had it that way. And somewhere during the Warren administration, it got dropped. And it affected my son, Zach, who sat on the planning board, who was an appointment to fill someone who stepped away from the board, and Mrs. Gilmartin, when she stepped away, and he went on there. And his term expired. And Jesse dropped those names off that, okay? And in October that year, as my son on a rollover, got taken off that board without even a phone call, okay, or acknowledgement of the time that he'd spent serving this village, okay? And they appointed someone to his spot. And the trustees all voted 5-0 in favor of that. They didn't know that it was my son who was being replaced unceremoniously. by a vengeful person. Okay? And everybody voted for it. So I agree with you. Those numbers. What I disagree with is you don't have the right to nominate. You don't have the right to nominate to any board. You don't have the right to nominate to any non-elected board. You don't have the right to nominate officers, employees, but you have the right to approve. That center spot is the only one who can nominate. And you guys vote on that. Now, if you have people that you'd like to see, because the mayor and I have had discussions about the boards and the lack of local participation year-round. I should say year-round participation. It's hard. Nobody wants to do it. It's hard. There's a 4-hour requirement of annual training.
Oh, now it's 6 hours.
6 hours now, okay? Which I will say, nobody does. Because I've looked at it. You were on the planning board, you didn't do it.
I did it.
You didn't.
I did.
And,
I loved it.
No,
I did.
and you didn't do the land use training, okay? I know you didn't. I looked it all up. I did it with my son-in-law's application. You were on the planning board during that time frame. I was in there, I had it checked. Everybody was on the planning board. You didn't do it, okay? So, so I agree with part of it, and I disagree with some of it. And it's a hard job. The mayor's job's a hard job. And you can disagree or whatever. You guys should all be worrying. If you got people you want to nominate, talk to them. Okay, let him do the nomination. I used to post everything in the paper. These are the positions available. Who wants to respond? We'd interview them, all of that stuff. It's hard. You can't find people to do this stuff. So, and then I know that Amy Brown Frazier is up. I would highly recommend doing that. Is her father, sure, was on the ARB. She's probably one of the only people volunteering around here that has a Southampton High School diploma, okay? So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
May I address some of those comments? I just thank you very much for your comments and for your service also to the village. And I did come across an old article of you advertising these positions, which I cited to one of my fellow board members because I thought that was an excellent, open, responsible, inclusive way to do things. And that's one of the things I ran on. So I'm trying to do that. So, I was citing you as a great example of that earlier today. So thank you. And but on the other point, I do want to say that I've been poring over our code, our village code, and the state law on villages over the last few months since I've been preparing and running for office. And it is absolutely the case that many of our boards in our village code allow the village board of trustees to appoint, for example, the chairperson and the vice chairperson of the board for shorter terms and remove and circulate those particular positions.
It's not true. It's not true.
No, well,
It's
if
not
you look
true.
at our
Village
code
law
on,
says
no,
mayor
yeah.
nominates all non-elected boards. It's in the village.
No, that is in the
state
village
law.
code, but
No,
what I
I'm
would.
talking about
Oh.
state law.
I don't think we have to.
No, we don't have to get into debate.
No, I just want to finish my
This
point
is
for
not
one.
the point of public
Oh,
comment.
oh, but Bill, let me just finish my point on, there is something called municipal home rule law, which allows villages and towns to modify their codes and change what the village law says. And once they secede like that, there's something called secession where they're allowed to set their own rules. And in many provisions of our code, especially the ARB, we recently changed its purview in 2026. We took away its ability to establish historical districts. And we also, under Title VI, made it completely a creature of the Board of Trustees. So the Board of Trustees appoints the chairperson, the vice chairperson explicitly. The Board of Trustees is able to remove anyone from the ARB, which became the ARB Historic Preservation. We added that in 1986. Prior to 1986, in 1983, the village mayor clearly had the right to appoint the chair, the vice chair, and all the members of the board, except in 1986, we introduced a separate law. It was local law number 6 that changed that entirely and gave us the right again other provisions of the state village law completely allow the mayor to remove members of the board at his will, but the ARB HP is completely different. It allows the board explicitly to remove at their will members of that board. Implied in that is the ability to appoint those members as well. The first provision of that section under Title VI explicitly says we can take all the people from the 1983 board and put them on this new board. And it goes on to explicitly give the mayor only the ability to appoint the alternates to that board. So it's home rule law.
So you're right. But there's a difference between appoint and nominate.
No, I'm saying the
No,
home
that's-
rule
no,
law
that's- you
can,
use
the
the
home
word
rule law,
appoint,
municipal home rule law
But
can
what
completely change
you've said
the
over and over
purviews of
again
the
is
boards.
appoint and it's nominate.
No, I'm saying the appointment power has been modified. The ability to
Appoint-
take people off the board was modified.
Yeah, what
and-
I'm saying
and
is there's a
municipal
difference
home rule
between
law-
appointment
law changed
and
that.
nominating.
But if you look at the code, the
You're not listening to
ARB
me.
is just
I'm
a
telling you-
creature
I'm telling you.
of this board, which
So
governs
so what
the
I would
village.
recommend you do is go to NICOM and take some classes.
Okay, I think.
There's a difference
This is
between
public comment.
appointment and nomination. So I agree with you. You're right. You guys appoint. No, he nominates. He
Well,
nominates.
I disagree. That's
okay.
been modified, and it's a different creature.
Webster's.
It's a creature of the Board of
Okay, thank you.
Trustees.
All right, anyone else on Zoom?
No hands.
Okay, all right.
Oh, I got one.
Oh, okay.
All you had to do was ask.
Yeah.
He's coming in.
Okay. Michael,
Hello, can you hear me?
we can hear you, Michael, but we just can't see you now. There you are.
It's very odd. Okay, just very briefly, was there not some discussion of during the summer months not permitting landscapers and construction on Saturdays? Do I misremember that, or did you
No,
guys talk about that?
You are correct, and that actually is one of the public hearings that we have later in this meeting. So
We haven't passed that yet.
no, it's actually open for public hearing today, and it's coming up under public hearings. It is, I believe it's the first one. Yes, it's the first public hearing today.
I see, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm glad I didn't complain to my neighbor last Saturday then, because I thought we had already passed it. but-
Yeah, no, it's just being heard tonight at the public hearing. But if you want to come back at that time, Michael, and discuss that, I would encourage you to come back when we open the public hearing, the first public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. All right, was that it then, Sage?
No hands right now.
Okay. All right, so then we can move on to mayoral appointments, and we'll have Scott do these.
Okay, resolved that the mayor appoints and requests a motion from the Board of Trustees to approve the following land use special counsel for 2026, 2027, and that's Brian Stolar, attorney for the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Is there any discussion?
No, you can have a discussion.
No, I'm just wondering if there's any discussion.
Nope.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay.
Okay, resolved that the mayor appoints and requests a motion for the Board of Trustees to approve the following land use special counsel for 2026, 2027, and that's Kimberly Judd, attorney for the planning board.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion?
Discussion, no.
Sure.
Yes. There may be an issue here of whether there's a arm's length relationship
Could you
between...
explain what that is, Mr. Semili?
Arm's length relationship?
No, what is the arm's length relationship that you're concerned about?
Oh, between the attorney Kimberly Judd and attorneys that come before the board. But I'll let trustee Bernstein to be more explicit about that.
Well, I think Kimberly Judd was an associate of one of the attorneys who has maybe 40% of the cases before the planning board. So the question is, is that a waivable conflict? Is it a conflict, and should it be revealed, should it have been revealed before we appoint law firms to the boards? Because the land use boards' decisions are very important in the village. They have a lot of power, and it's a very sensitive thing. So if there's any potential for the appearance of conflict,
Right.
should we have a process by which that's spoken of openly so that the boards can waive it or not waive it? And what's our process with making sure that there are no
Yeah.
conflicts
Well,
of
this was
interest?
discussed with her when she was being interviewed for the role of attorney to the planning board. So it was discussed. I believe actually Eileen Powers was in that interview with me when it was discussed. And again, I don't think the fact that someone worked with an attorney at some point out here should bar her from then serving as an attorney on the planning board. She also served as an associate attorney with the town of Southampton. In fact, that's when I met her, which was probably about 1999, when I first met Kimberly Judd. I've actually known her a very long time. She now resides in Riverhead, mostly practices law in Riverhead, and she took the job here because she was familiar with Southampton.
It's just that she's listed as an associate Martindale Hubble of that law firm. So the question is, should she recuse herself on those cases, or is it a waivable
Which
conflict?
There's no
cases are you
actual-
referring to? I'm not sure I understand.
Any cases where she was, is a current associate of the person who's arguing the case in front of us, her, or was an associate? And so,
She's in Riverhead now. I don't think, I mean, I've looked at her, financial disclosure form. It doesn't seem that there's anything there that would show that she's somehow receiving payments from anybody here. So I don't
no,
understand
there's
what the issue is.
absolutely no suggestion of that. It's just that, should there be a public discussion, or the boards be notified if they want to waive what might be the appearance of a conflict, or have someone recuse themselves in a given case, if there's any suggestion that that could influence, that they work closely together for many years and argued many cases together, should it be spoken of openly? That's really the question. And should there be a process by introducing a resolution so that, those things are brought out, not just discussed?
Don't we already have a process? Couldn't you make a complaint to the Ethics Committee and have them investigate? Isn't that what the Ethics Committee's for?
I think
Not
that's
for the
what
Board of
we're here
Trustees.
for, as the Board of Trustees,
You think the Board of
to let
Trustees should
people
be enforcing
know,
ethics?
to make sure that people know what our process is. I think that's exactly what our legislative role is, to make sure that
But
these
are we
things
meant to be the
are
police people?
open
Can-
and public, and
Can I just have maybe the village attorney weigh in here?
First of all, Kim Judd hasn't worked with John Bennett or his firm for, I think, probably 13 or 14 years. She worked for him for a short time after she worked for the town of Southampton, which is where I knew Kim from when I was the town attorney
also
for the
when I
town
met
of
her.
Southampton. Right.
Yeah.
Attorneys, I'm sure you are aware, are bound by the Code of Professional Responsibility. If there was any conflict, Kim would raise it. And quite frankly, I think the attorney on the other side would be obligated to raise it. They don't have a conflict. That said, when we did the interview with Kim Judd, when the mayor interviewed her, I don't remember who else was there, but he specifically asked, she raised it, said, just so you know, I worked with John Bennett. I know he does a lot of work in the village of Southampton. He asked her if it would be a conflict for her. She said no, she can stand up to John. There was no issue. So we didn't ignore the issue. We did discuss it and didn't find a conflict.
And
And
she's
quite
been-
frankly, attorneys have a code of professional responsibility
oh, I know that, yeah.
that they practice and they adhere to. And
She's
the
also
suggestion that because she worked for him, with him, somehow creates a conflict is just, it would bar attorneys from doing work. I mean, you work with attorneys all the time. You team up with attorneys on certain cases. You work on the opposite side. So attorneys have relationships. As long as there's not a conflict, there's nothing wrong with it, so.
I'm just wondering, apropos of some of the discussions on Monday, has there been any expression of concern along these lines from the current chair or members of the planning board?
No, she's serving admirably as the attorney to the planning board, and I have heard no complaints from anyone on the planning board about her performance or anything else.
No one's
Suggestion
suggesting
there's a-
that, but last time we were here, you indicated that the boards choose their own attorneys, but the boards don't choose their own attorneys. We have a resolution in front of us to vote to put attorneys in place for these very powerful boards that stay in place, not having a lot of information in front of us, and and you indicated last time that the boards choose their own attorneys, but I don't see the process by which the boards are choosing their own attorneys. We're being asked to put attorneys in place
Right.
for the boards without being given a lot of information. So I just think it's important to look at that because of the role that they have in drafting resolutions and things like that.
Right,
Well,
the mayor
this
puts forth-
is not a new attorney. She's been serving that board.
I know, but we're just newly being asked at the beginning of this organizational season to opine and vote on these things, so.
But you didn't
It's
ask about
important for
any
my
other,
fellow
you
trustee.
didn't
No,
ask
I-
about any other attorney, which is what I find fascinating. You didn't ask about Alice Cooley and any potential conflict she has with attorneys in front of her firm, and you
I,
didn't
as a
ask.
trustee, looked at all of those things, and I didn't, in terms of researching or my experience, I'm not singling out anyone, so
Well,
that's
have you-
It
just.
appears like you're
Have you
singling someone out.
researched something about Kim Judd where you think she has
No,
done
it ju-
something incorrect?
No, not at all.
In her
Not at all.
In her
No, it's just
duties
that
as
not
what-
at all. Not at all.
advising the planning board
Not at
as
all.
their attorney?
Not at all.
So if you have no evidence of that, what is the issue?
I think I've detailed the issue. The issue is
All right.
knowing about any former association or so on when people are assigned, before you ask us to vote on those things. That's the issue. There's no particular issue with this person, and to suggest that is just to obfuscate and change the subject, but that's not the situation at all. I have no
Mr.
issue
Mayor,
with
we have
any
a
particular
motion
person.
and a
It's a
second.
process
I
thing.
propose that we have a vote. The discussion has gone on long enough, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So we have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Who's opposed?
Aye.
Are you opposed?
Yes,
Okay, well, you have to speak up. Okay.
okay.
We have one nay.
So that's a 4-1 vote you're
Correct.
recording? Thank you.
Okay. Resolved that the mayor appoints and requests a motion for the Board of Trustees to approve the following board appointments. And that is Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, Nina Edwards Anchor, with the term ending the first Monday in July 2029 at 11:59 a.m.
I'll make the motion.
Discussion?
Yeah. Oh, that has to be a second first.
I second.
Discussion now.
Yeah, on this, we're just trying to stagger the appointments. I think we already discussed that maybe we can table this for next meeting and find a way how we can,
Just,
Yeah.
You
if I-
did, two of the board members did suggest that, I think,
Can I just explain to the public for
Yeah,
a second?
sure.
For some reason, we have 3 members this year whose terms are expiring on the ARB. These boards are set up to be staggered so that there's no majority of them coming up in any one year. For some reason, we do. We're trying to determine why. And so the suggestion is that one of them, who we would like to have on the board, we're going to ask to serve for a 1-year term so that we can re-stagger the board going forward.
Right. And so just, the historical is that for some reason, 2 members of the ARB were appointed on February 8th of 2024. And for some reason, they were both appointed for 2 years, or to end in 26 on the schedule. And I'm not sure how that happened, so I am going to ask the village clerk to look up the meeting that was held on February 8th of 2024, when these terms began for 2 of these members. I think there was 1 member that actually had died, and I think also at that time there was another member that resigned.
Moved. Yep.
And so I think that that's why it came up in the winter, that these people were appointed. I'm not sure if they were then appointed to fill out those specific members' terms, which is what they should have been, but we need to do some more research to understand that. We don't have to do it right
I
now.
started the process of the research. It's not as simple as you guys are stating.
Okay.
It is, you are correct to say that back in February, there was appointments to fulfill the remaining of those terms, but we haven't been able to get to the bottom of where the problem originated, and it certainly didn't originate in that year. It originated sometime further back. We had to go back into old books. We just haven't had the time to do it. But I just wanted to say that the code requires a 3-year appointment, not a 1-year appointment. If we're going to fix it, I think it might be more to it and how to fix it, so.
Right.
Well, may I just, we can modify as the Board of Trustees the terms of a board the Architectural Review Board, and we explicitly have that ability to modify their terms. So it could be suggested to us that we introduce a resolution to modify the terms in keeping with the staggered provisions that it was created in the beginning.
I'd have to-
Under Title VI, created staggered. So I originally today was told I was being asked to approve a one-year term, and then other people would be able to serve. We have somebody, Teresa Mahato, who came forward and expressed an interest in these positions. Last time, we said that we should only have an architect on the board, but in looking at the code, the board can retain an architect to advise it, somebody who has architectural
correct.
background and an architect, but it's not doing that. But it could do that. But we do have somebody in the village who has a law background, has a design background, has a financial reporting background, who would like to be in that position. And I think continually extending people for 3 to 5 years, as I said last time, is not necessary. But if I may, I just wanted to hand out this.
Wait.
Can I just wanted to comment on the
And I
law
just
part
want
of
to
it.
make it clear that, again, Nina Edwards Anchor and I believe it was Kathy Buxton were both appointed in 2024. So they actually have not served a full 3 years yet. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Generally speaking, when you amend something that's that's set forth by a local law, you have to do it by local law. So I'm not saying that's 100% the case here. I'm going to look into what you presented, et cetera, but generally
More
speaking.
procedures that I'm speaking about, and this is an Attorney General's decision.
And
It has
there's
to
lots of
do
those that are
with-
not in effect anymore, but I.
No, it's
I'm absolute-
advisory, but
Yeah.
it says that we have the power to both change the terms and also to, if we've changed any part of who appoints in the code, including the chair and replacing the positions on the board, the chair, the vice chair, which we explicitly get under Title VI, and also removing those positions, which implies that we have the right to put those people in place, and also training, which we, as a board, completely supervise the Board of Architectural Review because it has to do with the layout and history of the village. So I just wanted to hand this to my fellow trustees, just on the record, because it's not binding, obviously, it's just an opinion, but
Yep.
it just expresses
We
what
have
I'm
it.
So just so you know, those opinions are fact-specific from a particular municipality, which I'm sure you're aware, and I'm not saying it's not correct, I haven't looked at it, but generally speaking, if the board does something by local law to change it, you need to do it by local law. That's pretty black letter law for municipalities. So I don't know that their board was created, whatever board they're addressing was created by a local law. Maybe it was created by resolution, I don't know. So that's all, we can look into it.
Can-
So,
Can I suggest, first of all, I think we should underscore that none of the specific appointments related to ARB, the people involved, are part of the problems that we're discussing. This is an unfortunate situation. It feels to me like perhaps the best thing to do would be to keep people in a holdover position who have not otherwise been appointed, continue this discussion to figure out how to properly stagger, what the cause was, and therefore how to properly stagger the term. If we need a local law, if we need a resolution specifically on that, and just address this at the work session.
The problem with that, Rob, is the mayor, that you're taking the position that you only have the appointment power. So
I believe that to be true.
yeah, so if we hold people over, they'll be in their seats for another, unless you decide to replace them with somebody else, they're there for another 3 to 5 years, and there's, that's not a lot of turnover for
They
people
haven't,
who want
even-
to
I just
serve.
said to you, they haven't even been in office 3 years yet. They were appointed in February of 2024. It's not even 3 years yet. One is an architect trained at Harvard. The other one is a designer who works in New York City. They're both extremely qualified for a position on this board. They're doing a good job of this. They have voiced their opinion to me that they would like to continue the work that they're doing. I see no reason why at this time they should be terminated. And I do have the power of appointment. In fact, I called NICOM after, but I think both of you referenced NICOM at the organizational meeting. First, Wade Beltramo, who is one of the top attorneys at NICOM, looked in the records and said that before yesterday, no one had contacted NICOM from the village board here since April. But then he went on to say, Mayor, it is black and white. You have the authority under Public Officers Law, Section 5, of nominating people for these boards. And the rest of the board has the option to agree or disagree. But he said it is very clear, very, very, very clear, that I am the one that has the power to appoint, given New York State law.
I don't disagree with the planning board and the zoning board, which are different
Maybe I
types
should
of
have you
boards.
speak to Wade Beltramo as well.
I'd love to speak to
Yeah.
him, but I think it's administrative boards that are established by law that have to have certain formats, as opposed to boards that
That he
the
said
village
specifically,
board
he said
created.
specifically
Okay.
about the ARB, that I am
I-
on firm ground of what
Okay.
we're talking
I
about.
don't think we're going to settle it.
We're not going to settle it here, no. And they have a meeting on Monday, and I want to have them in holdover status so that they can act on Monday for those people that have applications before the board. It would be highly inappropriate to remove 2 people right now and have that board not acting fully for the applicants coming before them on Monday night.
I agree, but
Okay,
I
good.
just proposed
Thank you.
somebody else for the board. So
Okay.
There's no
I'm not going to
issue with
nominate that person, and I have
I
the power of
understand.
nomination.
I
So,
know.
okay,
We
let's move
disagree
on.
with that, yeah.
Let's move on.
Well,
Okay.
a question, Mr. Mayor, do you think we should act on this tonight, or should we see whether this is a position to help, an opportunity to help me stagger the board?
What I suggest is that, again, the clerk and the attorney look into how it happened that these became out of sync, because I do not understand why that happened as well. I do know that they have both served for less than 3 years, which is a full term, and we have a meeting on Monday, so I am going to have them in holdover status to act in their capacity as members of the board on Monday night. I already know that the new chairperson, who I put in at your suggestion, is not going to be available, so Susan Stevenson will be the acting chair. So that means there will be 4 members to work on the applications before the board on Monday night. I will not have 2 people left off that meeting, so that then there is not a quorum to handle the applications that are before the board right now. So that's enough of that discussion. We're going to look into what happened here, and we're just going to have them in holdover for now.
So just to understand, so we are not voting on Nina, it's on
There's
holdover?
no need to vote on them right now.
Right, right.
There's no need to
Okay.
vote on them.
So you're going to mark that off the agenda, number 3?
I would mark 3 and 4 off.
Okay.
There's just no reason to do this. The village has to function
Why are we marking 4 off?
we can certainly vote on Kathy Buxton if you'd like to.
Well, we had a proposed replacement for Kathy Buxton.
So I'm not nominating that person. I'm not nominating that person.
Just on principle, because we're suggesting it?
No, because I've explained, I just put a new chairperson in there that both of you, or many people said they would like to see Quinn Pofel as a full member and as the chair of that board.
That was us
I
seating,
did that.
we have the appointment power explicitly under the code of the chair and the
He
and
wasn't
the
a full
vice
member.
chair.
He wasn't a full
But
member.
we, as the board, as the whole board, should have voted on that, but we ceded that power to you because we wanted to be cooperative and come up with someone
Exactly,
together.
and I'm trying to be
So
cooperative. So I said, I've given you a new chairperson. The people that are here on this board right now are doing an excellent job. They have not even served a full 3-year term. There is no reason to remove them at this
So
time.
because the former mayor was interested in being on the board, you don't want to consider him as a person to be on the board to allow some turnover on what's a central
I don't know what you're talking
board
about.
of
The
the
former
village.
mayor wanted to be on the board. I don't know what that's about.
No, we had people that we were proposing that are like extremely qualified people.
That's fine, but again, it's my understanding, Public Officers Law, Section 5, the mayor has the power of appointment.
Well,
I'm not changing
It's
that.
4-400 of village law, and
Also-
Public Officers Law 5 addresses
So-
holdovers.
Right, and there's municipal homeroom law. Do you disagree?
Oh,
Do you disagree that the Board of Trustees appoints the vice chair and the chair under the code?
It's under our code that they appoint the
Yes,
chair and the vice chair.
right.
It is.
Right.
It's
so-
under
so-
11630.
So what you keep arguing is just not, it's
No,
manifestly
He's not arguing anything, I mean, I'm just listening to it.
That's appointment power of the Board of Trustees as a whole to vote on the.
No, it's
chair and
silent
the-
as to the
It's
membership of the
silent.
board.
It's silent.
specifically
And what I
silent.
spoke to Wade Beltramo about at NICOM,
Very
if it remains
specifically
silent,
silent.
it falls back
It's-
to, again,
It
the
is
mayor
silent.
under
It-
400.
It's not silent.
It is silent.
No, it's not silent. It says it creates a board that it changes in 1986 to include historic preservation. And it says that all of those people on the old board can be transferred to the new board, and the Board of Trustees can remove them. The Board of Trustees directs them. The Board of Trustees decides that they have to take training. The Board of Trustees can remove them if they don't take training. So it's.
The Board of Trustees can only remove for cause. That would
Right,
be
but
after a public
normally,
hearing.
under the provisions you're citing, under 400, the mayor removes
But
all
they're-
the other
they're-
boards for cause. The mayor has that power. The mayor is explicitly
They're-
given the power of the other boards.
Well, there is no reason to remove either of these people for
No,
cause
I'm
at
not
this time.
suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that.
We could,
Oh,
you
we're
could go
suggesting
forward with one appointment if the issue is just the staggering that I think some of the trustees are looking to correct. We could point one and then hold one over until we can figure out how to correct the staggering issue, if that's the issue that the board has.
In my opinion, I just feel that's unfair to leave one person hanging out. I would
Okay.
ask them both to be in holdover and to figure that out and have a conversation
That's
with each of them as to their.
Rob, I
if they
think
have
that's
any
very
concerns.
reasonable.
I don't
and
know.
All right, so
that
we
is
should get a
absolutely the way I
motion
would
to
like
table
move
both
forward.
of those resolutions at this time and to
Thank
address
you.
them later.
We'll move on to number 5,
No,
Scott.
you need the motion to.
Oh, motion to table these.
Either table them or remove them
Do
from
I
the
have a
agenda.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to number 5.
Number 5, resolved that the mayor appoints and requests a motion for the Board of Trustees to approve the following board appointments. That's Zoning Board of Appeals, Joyce Giffra, with the term ending the first Monday in July 2031 at 11:59 a.m.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees approves Mayor Manger's motion to appoint the following trustees as liaisons is amended as follows. Southampton Art Center, trustee Robert Coburn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And resolved that the Board of Trustees approves Mayor Manger's motion to appoint the following trustees as liaisons is amended as follows. Environmental and Sustainability, trustee Willa Bernstein.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, that was the most exciting part of the meeting, I hope. Anyway, we'll move to public hearings now, and local law of 2026, amending Chapter 78 of the Village Code nuisances to expand on rules regarding construction and landscaping activities. Michael Zinder, if you're on Zoom and you want to speak on this, now is your opportunity. While we're waiting for him to maybe come back, I'll ask the public if any of them would like to speak. Ma'am, in the back.
You need a motion to open.
Oh, sorry, a motion opens public hearing, sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sorry.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Susan Hoptisvin. I live at 95 Post Crossing. I'm a year-round resident. If you looked, or if you could find my C-click fix, you would think I'm one of the craziest members of this community. But the challenge is that you have these really great laws, you actually have that great app, and if you don't have the manpower behind it to enforce it, it becomes almost impossible. But Saturday and Sunday would make my life so much better. And I would like to suggest that when building begins, we begin with the end in mind, and that is that the builders, as well as the owners, have to sign something. They may sign something now, but maybe it's not clear enough. We have the building permits in front of the properties. It clearly states what those hours of operation are. But I think there needs to be more communication to the contractors, to the landscapers, and to the owners. If I'm an absentee owner, that
I know.
doesn't make me not responsible to be a good neighbor. And that happens in our neighborhood all the time. So I commend this. I hope it happens, but I hope that that just doesn't make me have to use that app on Saturdays.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your comment, Susan. And obviously, the police, should this pass and become a new law, be alerted to this, as well as code enforcement. And I do usually have at least one code enforcement in the village on Saturdays.
Right.
And they're very quick to get to spots where they find, construction or something going on out after hours or before hours.
Right.
As you know, on Saturday, the hours for construction and landscaping is actually 9 to 5.
I do know that.
Yes, okay. So anyway, I appreciate you coming and being so, enthusiastic about this.
I am enthusiastic, and I think those little flyers, there used to be flyers for the construction, and, they're in English and Spanish. I find them to be very helpful. They need to have the no gas leaf blowers added to it, but they are a friendly way to hand out to construction workers and landscapers. Yes, I've done that, but now they're outdated. But
Right.
they're a nice reminder.
Right.
You can even put them on their truck.
Yeah. Rob, did you say you want to say something?
I was, sorry, didn't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm no one.
Okay. I was just going to ask, actually, sorry, Michael, before you speak, could we just get a summary of exactly what this law is proposed to do?
The changes, yes,
The
the changes to the law,
Because we currently prohibit contractor work and landscaper work on Sundays.
Yes.
Correct.
correct. So what this does is adds Saturday and Sunday and federal and state holidays federal and state holidays are already on the list, to the list of days when you cannot do the work.
Sunday's already. there. I think
Property
it just
owners can
says-
always work on their own property on weekends. So if you have somebody who takes care of their own property, works during the week, they can absolutely do it on the weekends. We
Yeah.
didn't change that. We
Yeah.
also tried to change the holidays description so that we cover long weekends for the residents. So if July 3rd were to fall, well, when July 4th falls on a Tuesday, for example, July 3rd you also wouldn't be able to work on that day. If July 4th, if July 4th fell on a Thursday, then Friday, July 5th, you wouldn't be able to do work. So it would preserve the long
Sounds
weekend for
wonderful.
people
Yeah.
trying to
That
enjoy their home.
I have to admit, we cribbed that from Shelter Island. Yeah.
That's good.
Well, during Harbor, but.
During Harbor
part
and
of
Shelter
Shelter
Island.
Island. Yeah,
Well,
the
thank
village of
you
Deering
for all
Harbor.
that you do. I think you all have to,
That's essentially it.
get a little bit better, like, working together.
I appreciate
It
that,
got a
Susan.
little
Thank you.
uncomfortable.
Mike,
Michael, would you like to speak now on this topic, please?
Sure. Susan has stolen most
Hold on,
of my
we-
thunder.
Yeah.
Being the high-quality person that she is, I think she encapsulated the issues very, very well, and I think it would be a terrific help to the village to include this now. As to enforcement, one thing that would be nice is if the police, I know we're a very large village and we have very constrained resources, but if the enforcement person who you have on duty on Saturdays, as well as police and just driving around, if they hear something, I just hope they just don't, they're not only waiting for somebody to affirmatively complain about it. If they hear it, it would be very much appreciated by all of us in the village if they proactively spoke to the offending person and tried to give them a warning or whatever, just to stop doing it and to make them aware. And including, as Susan said, it could be absentee owners where the landscaper is out there working on Saturday and just may be unaware, and so just providing that information, the police would be doing a tremendous service to the extent that they can. So I'm all in favor of that. A smaller piece of this, which I suspect is impossible, but maybe somebody who's more creative than me, like Susan, and the trustees could come up with some possible way of dealing with this. But geez, putting aside Saturday and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, if there was some way of having some coordination. I mean, in my particular area, there's somebody doing the landscape on Monday morning, somebody doing it Monday afternoon, somebody doing it Tuesday morning, Tuesday. There's almost like, it's so nice when there's nobody doing the landscaping, but it's very rare that you get an entire day during the week where nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
Every owner in my area seems to have a different day for their landscaper. I don't know if there's some way of having some community bulletin board or something, so people could just exchange information and encourage their neighbors to try to all get them to do it on Thursday or something.
Yeah.
I suspect our attorney's going to say that's probably not something we can legislate, but I would say the
Yeah.
following. I have recommended my landscapers to 4 of my neighbors. So now, instead of having people come on 5 different days, right around my house, there's a landscaper who comes for one day and does all of our houses. That's one possible solution to this. If you like the person who's doing your work, to try to persuade. But I think, Eileen, you may say differently. Is there anything we could legislate there in terms of odd days of the week, odd side of the road, or that sort of thing? Bless you.
I don't know how that would be workable.
Yeah. And I would just say that this came to my attention last year when a woman came to me and she said every Saturday she had to sit inside with her family because the work that was going on next door, it was a construction site, she said prohibited them really from sitting out on their terrace, you know, and getting to enjoy their property. They had to literally every Saturday sit inside with the doors shut. So obviously that made me think that we have to do something, and so we've looked at what other municipalities have done in the area, and we've come up with this. I know that Trustee Coburn says that we don't want to hurt anyone who's in the middle of their construction right now and all of a sudden tell them that they're not going to be able to work on Saturdays if they have a time constraint of when they're trying to finish
Well-
the work. So I'll let Trustee Coburn, though, take this.
Yeah, I am all for this law, and I think in an ideal world it should take place immediately. On a practical basis, there are, for construction activities, there are probably 200 contracts right now in the village for work that's going on with deadlines and penalties and incentives for jobs to be done at a certain time. And I think, unfortunately, for me, it's a little late notice to do it for this summer, as much as it pains me to say that, because we could be leading some of our residents into litigation with their contractors by eliminating, just under 20% of their available work time to meet these deadlines or not. So as much as I'd like to do it tomorrow, I'm not sure it's reasonable to set it in place for this summer. I'm very sorry to say that. So I'd like to propose that we amend this proposal to say that the effective date is not immediately upon filing, but is January 1st of 2027, to give people time and contractors time to adjust for this.
Just for the contractors, Rob, not for the landscape?
I think I do it for everybody.
I think you have to, the code covers them for both, doesn't really distinguish, Michael, I'm sorry to say.
Didn't you have different effective dates for different pieces of it?
It's a little tricky. I see that the village attorney
Well, we
is...
have to somehow rewrite it at this point, I think, the
Yeah.
amendment.
Um,
Maybe we could amend part of it now and then do it later, but it would have to be rewritten.
Well, okay, yeah. So, but I see that Mrs. Singer would like to say something. Please, you have to come forward. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Pine Singer, and my main thing is traffic safety, which I don't need to get to now because we're talking about landscaping. But is there any way to get people to have the landscape trucks who are working on their property to put the trucks on their property while they're working so that they don't create extraordinarily hazardous conditions for everyone who's trying to use the road? Because right now the trucks block the road, you cannot see around them, so you're sneaking slowly around them, and a car is coming at 45 miles an hour in the other direction.
Yeah.
It's extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah.
I won't let my children bike here, which is really sad, because they're going to they couldn't see around a landscape truck.
Yeah.
And you have 5 acres of property
Yeah.
that are empty,
Mhm.
and the landscape trucks to service those 5 acres are in the street.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do something about that. And I understand you, alternate sides of the street parking, great, but I wonder if there's a size limit
Yeah.
for the
I-
cars
I
that are
agree
parking.
with
You know, it's one thing if
100%.
someone has a
But we
party.
just- The other side of it, we just got a letter today from a landscape guy saying that he can't back his trucks into some of the properties, even though they have 5 acres. The gate that they have to go through to get in, they sometimes hit the gate.
Well, then
or-
park on the grass.
Well,
Don't block the whole road.
Can I just ask
I agree with you, the streets have become very dangerous because of all these cars, and we would love to get their trucks onto the property, but there's pushback from those guys, so we have to resolve that pushback and figure out a way to get them
Yeah,
on
If we
there.
could address this,
Yeah.
is this
No,
something that
that's
would be
fine.
addressed in this part of the code, or really in a parking
No, this is
code?
really just addressing, this would be a parking issue, and this is really just talking about construction and
But there's no
landscaping
way
on
to say that
Saturdays.
trucks have to be on the land. that they're working on. That's what I'm asking.
But we can say no parking on the
We have,
street,
yeah,
which would force them on.
we've been trying to work through that, and actually, there's a letter in our correspondence with someone talking about that, but we have to keep addressing that issue, because it is becoming very difficult.
I'm just saying, I think
Yeah.
technically that would probably most likely reside in a different part of the code.
No. I thought I'd bring it up.
No,
if
no, I
you're
appreciate
writing
that.
code for landscaping and construction.
Yeah, no, I
Slip
appreciate,
it in
appreciate you doing that,
Thank you.
Ms. Singer. Sir?
Thank you. Eric Winkler, I live on John Street. And just a suggestion, I think it's a bit of a gray area, trash haulers, whether it's removal of construction debris or just regular trash. I have one come at 4 o'clock in the morning every Monday, like clockwork. And we have, like, on my streets, John Street is very short,
Yeah,
15 houses, 3 different trash haulers.
yeah.
2 of them come during the week, but I think if the code could be explicit, there's not just landscapers and contractors, but also trash haulers, to me, are contractors or workmen
Yeah.
as well.
Yep. I've had a couple people complain specifically about this. I was woken up actually at 2:20 a couple weeks ago, and the truck didn't leave until 3 o'clock, removing a haul-away bin from a construction site. And the problem with those trucks is they have the beep beep when they back up.
Oh, yeah.
They have the air brakes that release every 30 seconds to let the pressure out. And when they drop a dumpster down, it's particularly if it's empty, it sounds like a drum.
Yeah.
So is this something that we could consider a contractor, or is this a service provider?
No, we might be able to do something with it, but, they're avoiding traffic and,
Right, I know.
it's
Yep.
everybody has their own side of it. So
Yep.
we would have to have some discussion
That's why they
about
do it
that.
early in the morning, she's right. They come from places where, in order to avoid the traffic and not be
Everybody
seen-
has the same issue with
Yeah.
traffic.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Perhaps you could reduce the amount of construction that's going on. Solves the
But if
problem.
they're not considered contractors, I'm not sure we can do anything.
Right, not under this section. I mean, we'd be able to
Um,
do something else. I don't know. We can
Okay.
certainly talk about it.
We'll have Christine first, and then Pippa. Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to add, it's Christine Whitaker, and I know you're talking about the weekends and holidays, but I was just going to mention that it seems to me the construction hours Monday to Friday are 8 to 6, am I correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, well, we have refuse pickup, I think refuse pickup should be before 8 o'clock anywhere, if possible. I don't know if that's part of this, but it's like, 7:15, and landscaping, when they come that early, it's really kind of early.
Yeah. We can definitely look at that as well, Christine.
Night noise,
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Mrs. Gerard?
This is related to this, because you mentioned, Pippa Gerard, 611 Hill Street. You mentioned the code enforcement for, you're planning to increase it during the daytime on Saturday and Sunday for landscapers and contractors. We still do not have enough code enforcement on Friday and Saturday nights in July and August to enforce the 11 o'clock at night. The music stops at parties. 3 times last summer I called at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and was told we only have one enforcement team on duty, and they're already busy someplace else. So while you're exploring how to increase enforcement during the day on Saturday and Sunday, I would encourage you to increase enforcement, particularly Friday and Saturday nights in Southampton Village.
I appreciate that, Pippa. I would add, though, that the police department is also able to respond to those calls and not just the enforcement guy.
Well, not according to the police that I call and speak to at midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning,
Well,
who tell me there's only one team, and they're busy right now with
All right.
something someplace
Well,
else.
I will look into that. Thank you, Pippa. Sir, in the back.
Hello, everybody, council, Mr. Mayor, board members. Just real quick.
Name for the record, sir.
David Cardelli, live on
Hill Street.
Hill Street. Just talking about enforcement. If someone does violate it, is there any consequences?
Which code are you talking about?
We're trying to restrict when they can do work or when they, but if a contractor, I've seen it happen where they come and they just get a warning, but they clearly know and they'll come back and then nothing happens.
They get,
So if we're low on personnel to enforce it, if you have stricter consequences, they know, hey, I'm gonna get a $500 fine, I'm not gonna send my workers there on Saturday. If I'm gonna get a slap on the hand, who cares? I'll
Right.
come back and I'll send my workers there.
Well-
So is there, I'm asking, are
They,
there
they
any?
do issue tickets, they do
Yeah.
issue stop work orders, and yes, sometimes they're ignored, but they get a ticket and they go to justice court, and what happens there, the town, the village attorney can make a, village prosecutor, sorry, can make a recommendation, but it's up to the judge. The judge has great latitude in what kind of punishment there is.
But in
we do-
an extreme case, we can issue a stop work order from the building department.
Right.
Okay.
And, sorry, just wanted to ask, I think most of these contractors are licensed by the town or permitted by the town. We
Or
don't
the
have that
county,
same permit.
yes, and the county, sorry.
Presumably, we would have the right, if someone was a serial abuser in the village, to make a complaint about that permit
Either to the town or the
status to
county,
town.
the licensing authority, for
Yeah.
The
sure.
licensing
Yes.
authority, yeah.
I'm not sure what
Licensing.
happens, though. We'd have to
Okay.
look into that. I would have to, I don't know.
Okay, just a side question. Gas blowers, they're completely gone?
They've been outlawed, yeah.
So.
Except under emergency.
So on big properties, I know guys, I hear them from my house, they're still using gas blowers once they're inside the property. That's not supposed to happen.
They're not supposed to be doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just asking. Okay, but for that, they could be issued a ticket.
They could be, they should be issued a ticket,
Yeah.
and, but we are in a state of emergency right now, for example.
Yeah.
So,
Just
I don't know
asking.
if we mentioned that, though. I don't know if we lifted that in the state of emergency, so.
Yeah,
Don't think we
don't think
did.
we addressed that specifically,
No,
but.
we didn't, we could have, but we didn't, so.
Okay.
Nobody should be using them.
Thank you,
Thanks.
thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Sir, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Elm Street.
Thank you. I'm going to read a letter I sent to Michael Zilli in 2024 about the subject we're supposed to be talking about.
That you're referring to the councilman,
Pardon?
the town councilman.
Councilman,
Yeah.
yes. I think it's still relevant today, and I pitched him a germ of an idea, and I'll read it to you. Dear Michael, Highway Superintendent Charlie McCardle's rainy day think-out-of-the-box idea presented during the May 1st, 2024 hit home with me, but I think we could take it further. Why not limit all outside workers, landscapers, pool guys, nail bangers, to a 5-day Monday through Friday work week with an earlier start and a later finish, half hour earlier, half hour later, so they don't lose any time. The trades get the long weekend off, fewer hours sitting in traffic, and less time seeking shortcuts through the village. Residents get calm weekends with a lot less noise and traffic and feel safe enough to get out and about on the weekends. This will require, we could either do it just for the village, or we could get all the people up east to help too. And then there would be no traffic coming through the village at all. Again, this could probably start next year, not this year. But I think it would be nice to have a quiet Saturday like we have a quiet Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. Sage, is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to be heard on this, aside from Mr. Zinder? Who spoke? Okay, anyone else in the room? All right. Well, I will make a motion then to close this public hearing on amending Chapter 78 of the Village Code. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the next public hearing. This is amending Chapter 82-3 of the Village Code. This is governing alcoholic beverages to update the same. So again, I will make a motion to open this public hearing.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Council, do you want to just explain a little bit about this? It's not a major change.
No,
but-
this was related to when we started amending the beach permit parking code, and there's reference to alcohol, so we just updated this code.
Yeah.
That's all.
So at this time, does anyone wish to be heard on this code public hearing? Christine, come forward, please.
What is the change?
What is the change?
Yeah.
So it's now, before it said no person shall drink or consume any beer, wine, liquor, other alcoholic beverages. Now it says other intoxicating beverages and marijuana regardless of form or any illegal drug at or in a street, park, sidewalk, recreation area, or a municipal bathing beach. We just made it clear that it applied to the beaches also. It wasn't clear in the prior iteration of this code. And then there's a specific paragraph confirming the fact that the village concession at Cooper's Beach is permitted to sell beer and wine.
So what substances did we add? to this?
We just said intoxicating beverages instead of alcoholic, and then said marijuana and any other illegal drug.
And how can we add that when it's being sold here legally, and we're including things like gummies and that? What's the rationale?
Well, the rationale was that, if you've been in New York City recently, you probably noticed, you walk down the street and you can smell a lot of ganja. So the idea was if you go to the beach with your children, you don't want to be subject to inhaling that by sitting next to someone on the beach that decides that they would like to smoke marijuana or any other drugs at that point.
But it's all this village streets, and it's not
Well, it's a
just-
public right-of-way, so I mean,
Yeah.
if you're walking down Job's Lane, do you think that would be appropriate to have that going on?
I don't think you can enforce, these are legal substances if you get them legally, right?
Correct, but we don't have to allow smoking in our parks, for example. And so I don't see why we have to allow smoking, these things. I mean, I also believe that, if I'm not mistaken, the governor put in a no smoking rule on New York State beaches.
Yeah, there
So
are other-
it
there
actually
are
may
other
be covered
laws.
already
Yes.
by the governor in terms of our beaches.
But it also includes edibles, which are also sold legally here, and that creates an enforcement
Could you,
problem.
I don't know,
It's
how
not
does it
just
read
an enforcement
exactly?
problem, but if you
It just says
or have an
regardless of
edible that
form.
you legally
Oh,
bought
regardless of
at
form.
many of the stores that we license, and you pop it in your mouth, and you could have a citation and be guilty of that. So we can't change the code to prosecute people who are doing things legally on our streets. That would seem very unwelcoming.
Just me more
Well,
specific.
smoking a regular cigarette is legal, but it's also banned in certain public areas,
I
so.
think what she's
It's not
saying.
fully banned, it's restricted to certain areas, that businesses allow smoking, but also you're including edibles.
No, she's not.
No, it says that any legal drug in any
Yeah.
form, regardless of form.
Maybe you want
Or
to be more
marijuana
specific
regardless of
about
form.
Yeah, we can,
smoking.
we can do that. We can
We
be
can
more
do- we
specific. You
can
got
do
to
this.
give some feedback about what you think it
Yeah,
should say, and we can
probably-
change it for sure.
Yeah, probably
We
should be
can,
specific.
why are you shaking your head? We can change what you
Something along the
want.
lines of vapors or fumes of which would
Right.
reasonably irritate, could irritate a reasonable person.
Yeah, you're outlawing legal activity, that people have a right to buy and get, and we license that in the town, and then you're saying we can give you a citation.
Yeah,
and-
so we're going to clarify that. Yeah,
So,
you're
well,
right.
but
It should be clarified.
the other issue is that I get a lot of complaints at Cooper's Beach for people actually that are simply smoking cigars. That
Oh,
the
yeah.
young family sitting downwind of a cigar smoker does really not like that, and they
Yeah.
have to move because of that situation. So we're not only referring to marijuana, but even I think cigars at Cooper's Beach are not appropriate. It's
I
a
agree.
friendly, family-friendly spot.
No one's disagreeing with that. I'm just,
Yeah, I
as
agree.
to the form is way too broad and, prosecuting
Okay, I
illegal
see.
behavior.
Yeah.
You
That's a-
wanted to say
you make a
something,
point.
Elizabeth?
On this
You
one,
please come up and say something.
So as a mother of young children, and as someone who's sober, I understand very well the dangers of people thinking that smoking marijuana and other forms of anything that intoxicates you or changes your mind is safe and okay. So I would absolutely be against allowing people to smoke marijuana in the village or on the beach or anywhere that children could think it was a normal thing to do. And let me know how many letters I have to get on this topic to make this pass, because I can think of at least 50 people who would agree with
Oh,
this.
I wasn't objecting to that at all. I
Okay,
completely
yeah, I
agree
just
with you. I
great.
completely agree
and
with you.
your job as trustees is to keep young people safe.
Well,
I
it
mean,
doesn't
if
sound
there's-
like you completely agree with
if
her,
there's
actually. I mean,
anything
come
that
on.
you're here to do
I'm
is to
talking
keep
about
young
the-
people safe.
I completely
Thank you.
agree. It seemed overly broad. That was my objection.
Okay, so
It
how
was- it was-
would you
I
like to
agree
narrow this? How
on
would
the
you like to
beach.
narrow this, that you would?
We already discussed it, and Eileen already.
Eileen, are you okay with it?
understands.
I said I would look into, after listening to everybody, try to amend it so that the regardless of form part to address the offensive part of it that
Thank
people
you.
are addressing.
All right,
So
appreciate
I'm happy
that.
to talk to.
Anyone else like to be heard on this topic? Sage, anyone on Zoom? Okay, so I will make a motion to close this public hearing for amending chapter 82-3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to the third public hearing, and this is repealing and replacing Chapter 86 of the Village Code, permit parking, to clarify rules regarding beach and other permit parking. So this is a comprehensive overhaul, actually, of the beach parking permits, and this was done in conjunction with the town trustees, because the town trustees have some jurisdiction over the town trustee roads, otherwise known as the letter roads on Meadow Lane. So there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I think, and then you get to H on the other side of the inlet. But again, this was trying to make sure that parking in the village was again for residents and those that have stickers, and not going to be used by contractors who want to park in our parking lots for the entire day. That was part of this. When I discussed this with some other people, they suggested that maybe the village should do what the town does and have these stickers be annual stickers that would be valid for all 12 months instead of just the period of May 15th until September 15th. So the town actually gives out a permit for stickers that is used 12 months out of the year, and the way the village has evolved, we only have the stickers restricting between May 15th and September 15th. So that was another, this was not included in this rule, but it came to my attention after we had published this, that some think that we should do it as a 12-month, so that, again, we have more constraints on who can park in our parking lots. I would mention just that Cooper's Beach is a different situation. Cooper's Beach, we only enforce stickers when the booth is manned. So actually, you would be able to park at Cooper's Beach throughout the entire year when the booth is not manned, and it's obviously a very large parking lot, and I don't think anyone would be offended if there were cars there in January that were parking there. So I just wanted to start with that, but I will, we made a motion to open this public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who would like to be heard on this topic? Anyone? Okay. Sage? Does anyone on the board want to talk about this at all?
No, yeah, I'll make a quick mention.
Yeah.
Part of this is intended to address the comment that was made before about landscaper trucks as well. And it's a related topic, because, or contractors generally, I should say. Because in some of our beach parking areas in the off-season, those lots get entirely filled by nearby vehicles from nearby construction sites. And while the off-season recreation is not as popular as the midsummer recreation in many of those beaches, there are a lot of local residents in particular who want to go down there to go birding, to walk on the beach, to go clamming and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I think part of this is to keep those beaches available to people who have year-round stickers and not as adjunct parking for contractors and
Yeah,
construction.
I can tell you that the two beaches that I most get complaints about are Crider Lane and Halsey Neck Beach. They have small parking areas, and even in the winter, they seem to be completely full of contractor vehicles and what have you. And there are village residents who have complained to me that they actually cannot go to Crider Beach, which is their favorite beach in the village, because the parking lot is completely full, for the rest of the year except for the summer. And even in the summer, it's very hard to get a place even with a sticker. But that was really one of the reasons why we were looking at this, and why, I would like to consider making a change that it would be actually a 12-month sticker, but not starting until January 2027, since we're sort of halfway through our summer season here with our stickers, and then having it take effect in 27. But that obviously we can discuss at greater length as well, and maybe make that change, and we can hold this open. Do you think it would be good to hold this open and see if anyone wants to?
Yeah, for sure, because we haven't heard any feedback from anybody on
I know.
doing 12 months, so, except for you.
All right, well, so I will, I'll make a motion to hold this open until the August general meeting, the second Thursday in the month of August. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to the fourth public hearing, and that is amending Chapter 110-43 of the Village Code by amending Schedule L, stopping, standing, and parking restrictions. This is, I'll have a motion, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So this is actually adding basically 14 parking spaces by the Southampton Hospital that would not have to adhere to the 2-hour restriction. I think we have some people representing the hospital here. We received a letter from the hospital that it is difficult for their employees to move their cars every 2 hours. It's not unreasonable. This is not taking away all of the 2-hour parking. It is only taking away 14 spaces on the corner of Herrick and Old Town Road, which
And only during the week.
And only during the week. Yes, not on the weekend, so that they cannot use that as a beach access to Old Town Beach. But anyway, that's what this is about, so I will open it now for public comment. I think I see someone from the hospital ready to talk.
She's going slow. Hi, everyone. Hello, my name is Emily Masteller. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. And I just want to come up and say thank you so much for considering this. Our essential workforce is very grateful for this opportunity. Parking is very difficult. It's challenging. They commute very long hours to come to this hospital and work in this community. And we're just really grateful for any help you can offer us, making sure that they have parking accessible to the hospital so they don't have to move their cars every 2 hours, so they can stay on the units and focus on patient care. So thank you so much for considering it. We really appreciate it, and on behalf of the workforce, they thank you as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Julia, did you want to say anything? Okay. Actually, I would ask the administrator to add the correspondence from Carl Mills to this public hearing, because this was specifically addressing this proposed change to our code. And so I just want to make sure that the record reflects that we also took into effect Carl Mills. Do you want to just
Absolutely.
give us a synopsis of his letter?
Yes, correspondence from Carl Mills. He's the Associate Vice President of Government Relations for Stony Brook University, expressing support to amend Chapter 110-43 and to provide 14 parking spaces along Herrick's and remove the 2-hour parking, and believes that would create a significant relief to the employees.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was in the record during the public hearing portion. Anyone else like to say anything? Sage, anyone on Zoom? Okay, anyone on the board wish to say anything more about this?
I would only have a comment if there were nearby business or other competitive public use that was reasonable during the week or had, but I don't see one. Obviously, the prime use in that area is the first responders and the other workers who work in the hospital, so I'm completely fine with this.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to close this public hearing, amending Chapter 110-43. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now the last public hearing was adding a Chapter 10 to the Village Code of Southampton, imposing term limits for the village mayor and the village trustees. I will make a motion to open this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I would say that, again, since the referendum to, again, lengthen the terms did not pass, that this actually sort of became moot because it was really being done in conjunction with the possibility of a 4-year term and then imposing term limits. But it seemed that the village residents spoke quite loudly. They like the way it's working. They like that it's a 2-year term. So I think at this time, there's not a need to also impose term limits if it's only a 2-year term. Obviously, if the voting population of Southampton wishes, they can dismiss that person after only 2 years. And so I don't think it makes sense to go forward with this change to the code imposing term limits. But I'm opening this up to the public for anyone that would like to speak on this topic. Sage, do you have anyone on Zoom that wants to speak on this topic? Anyone on the board wish to say anything about this?
We disagree, it's mute.
Yeah.
Whether it's 4 2-year terms or 2 4-year terms, but
Well, I do have something to say.
Okay.
Because I think we did keep lifetime health insurance if you serve a certain number of years in a row, which
I
was...
think it's up to 10 years, yeah.
8, maybe?
8, I think.
8 for, yeah.
Yeah.
For those that are in office now, and then it goes to 10.
Right.
Correct.
So there was some controversy and difference of opinion in the public that I heard, saw, read about. So still having a term limit provision would, maybe ameliorate that situation, unless we want to revisit the lifetime health insurance
Yes,
benefits
that's what we should do.
for trustees. But if you can't serve more than, 7 years, or that would actually have you out in the middle of your term. That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Yes,
Yeah.
we can't do that. So, if you had 3 terms, or we change that, I just think I want to make that point because this ties in somewhat with the
I understand
lifetime
that.
benefits question. So it might be something
So-
worth
so
considering
do-
on some basis in any event.
All right, so does the board want to still consider the legislation that was going along with imposing the term limits here?
No,
Ed?
no.
Okay. Roy, do you want to continue with this or not?
If there's no strong feeling from the board, I supported the idea of term limits. I think 8 years is plenty, but if the board doesn't want to pursue it, I'm not going to carry the banner for it.
Okay.
I think maybe
do
it
you have
needs to be rewritten or reconsidered.
Okay, all right.
But I
But
just
this-
wanted to mention that.
The way it is written, though, I think
it doesn't
maybe-
make sense.
Yeah,
I
okay, all right. So
totally
then
in
I will,
agreement with you.
okay, I will close this public hearing then on amending Chapter 10 of the Village Code of Southampton. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now, correspondence to the board.
Yes.
Scott, we have, I know we got 2 letters aside from the one from Carl Mills.
Yes, we also have correspondence from Carl Benacasa, who is writing on behalf of the property owner in 1950 Meadow Lane. He's asking for a waiver for the house demolition permit fee. That's the property that's being acquired through CPF funds from the town.
That's moot now.
Yeah, we have it later in our agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next one.
Yeah, correspondence from Andre at Hamptons View Landscaping. The parking tickets were received along Meadow Lane. Driveways are too narrow, gates are too restrictive, and no legal area for parking, which provides hardship. And he included photos.
Okay. Yeah, we do have to figure out what we're going to do on Meadow Lane because it is a narrow road. There is no shoulder. And yet, as people can attest to here, we still have 40-foot trailers that want to park in a lane of Meadow Lane, thereby necessitating everybody having to cross the double yellow line to go into the other lane to get around some of these very large trailers. So it is a problem, especially when there are a lot of bikers that like to use that long stretch along Meadow Lane. I see Michelle Brogard. Do you ever use that? Yeah. And
all the time.
and we.
By the way, they drive 50 miles an hour.
Exactly. So anyway, the other comment I would make is that we do have a county park at the end of Meadow Lane where people are allowed to bring trailers and camp out there for a week at a time. So we have very large vehicles going down a very narrow road with no shoulder, and yet the landscapers feel that they need to park on the street. So we need to figure out what the solution is. One solution I found that I just wanted to mention is to use permeable grass pavers so that it sort of hardens the village right-of-way and would allow maybe a vehicle to be completely off the road on this while they were doing work at that property so that they were not obstructing the roadway of Meadow Lane. So it's my understanding that Meadow Lane is approximately 25 feet wide. The village right-of-way is actually 50 feet wide, meaning that each side has an additional, 12 and a half feet that could be used for this. So the idea would be that the homeowner would have to put in permeable pavers in front of their property, but completely off of the street so that they could park their trailers there and then access the residents. I have looked at some of the properties down there. Some of them do have very oddly shaped driveways and all sorts of things. And I do understand that it's almost impossible to get a 40-foot trailer onto some of these properties. But again, I don't think it's right that they take up one of the roadways that are open to the public. So this was an idea that I came up with. I think I mentioned this to Rob briefly, but, and I printed out something that just sort of shows how it would work. And so I would like to explore that further and see if we might allow people on Meadow Lane to do something like that so that they don't have a problem. Because otherwise, this guy said, well, I guess I'm just going to have to get a ticket every week. Well, that's not what we really want. We don't want the guy getting a ticket every week. We want the guy off of the road. It's a safety issue. People should not have to go into oncoming traffic to avoid a parked trailer. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to say about that. And I appreciated the meeting. Actually, I met Andre from Hampton's Landscaping. He appealed to me for how can I do this? So I tried to think of how this might be possible. This is all I could come up with at this point, but certainly we can talk about it further. Okay, so that's correspondence to the board. Now we'll go to suggested resolutions.
Number 1, resolve the claims for the warrant dated July 8th, 2026, totaling $1,223,641.13. Warrant number A-9, general, $77,767,50. Warrant number H-4, capital, and $101,505.45. Warrant number A-10, payable, doesn't say be approved, but be approved.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And I just want to comment.
Sure.
The first one in particular is a very large number, $1.2 million. $530,000 of that is a progress payment for employee health. It's a big expense for the village. I don't know, I see, Julie, is this a semi-annual payment? Okay, monthly, okay. This is, this is the monthly payment. I think it's more than typical monthly, but there it is. And then also $334,000 of that warrant was for the grinding and repaving of approximately half of Hill Street. The rest of that work is going to be done, I think, in the fall, if I remember, or possibly.
Or possibly in the next year's budget.
That's a total of $860,000 of that warrant, which may make the rest of that $1.2 million warrant seem a little more typical to people.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Number 2, resolve the reading of the minutes for the June 23rd, 2026 and July 6th, 2026 board meetings are dispensed and accepted as filed by the village clerk, hereby ratified and approved. I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Maciej Grzybowski, I hope I didn't
Very
butcher
well
that too
done.
badly, as a probationary member of the Southampton Village Fire Department, Southampton Hose Company Number 1, effective July 9th, 2026. I make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the following list of Southampton Village committees with a term expiring June 30, 2027. Budget and Finance Committee, Trustee Liaison Robert Coburn, Edward Montepenny, John Steinhardt, Glenn Halsey, Ellen Herman, new, Wayne Miller, new, Rose Diaz, new, Robert Gerard, new. Senior Resource Committee, Trustee Liaison Edward Simeoni, Merrill Lieberman, Chair, Tony Maloney, Vice Chair, Kimberly Allen, Carol Lynn Sartain Anderson, Chris Brenner, Norma Chirincione, new, Lee Dance, new, Bonnie Cannon, Mindy Fortin, new, Rosanna Hanson, new, Gloria Joseph, new, Melissa Sutter, Lisa Varadian. The Youth Diversity and Inclusion Committee, Trustee Liaison Willa Bernstein, Gerald Martin, Sandra Dozier, Molly Bishop, Susan Hofstadson.
Oh, excuse me, we seem to have left some off.
I think they're part of the walk-ons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Safety Committee, Trustee Liaison Edward Simeoni and Robert Coburn. Department heads including Police Chief, Insurance Representative, Village Administrator, Human Resource Representative, Fire Chief, Ambulance Chief, Ocean Rescue Chief, Sewer District Task Force. Trustee
Actually, can I ask one question? Wasn't the superintendent for DPW on the safety committee?
Oh.
Was he?
Yeah. Yes, I think he is, actually.
So, anyway, we'll have to make that amendment then
It says
as Walker.
department heads.
It does say department heads.
So I think-
including-
Oh, okay, he's a department head. Okay,
Right,
he is
it's
included. I'm
included.
sorry. I just want to make sure that we didn't leave him off inadvertently. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
Sewer District Task Force, Trustee Laxon, William Manger, and Robert Coburn. John Wambold, Chair. Village Administrator, Superintendent, Department of Public Works. Janice Scherer, Michael Irving, new. Nick Palumbo, new. Michael Broad, new. Business Revitalization Committee, Southampton Village Partnership. Trustee Lyson, Roy Stevenson, and Robert Coburn. Eldon Scott, John Betts, Jeannie Strulas, Bezem Kujak, Dee Moyne, Jeff Hull, Amy Brown Fraser, new.
We should point out that Jeff Hull resigned.
Did he?
Did he?
He did,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, then we'll have to amend that maybe in the walk-on.
Environmental and Sustainability Committee, Trustee Lyson, Willa Bernstein, Sheila Pfeiffer, Chair, Victoria Elenowitz, John Halsey, Peconic Land Trust, Scott Rose, Katie Shaw. Tree Committee, Trustee Lyson, Edward Simeoni, Peter Grealish, Department of Public Works Superintendent, Anthony Piazza. I make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, just quick discussion. I think there are some names that are missing from these, which
Yeah.
are going to handle in the
Hopefully they'll be
supplemental.
handled in the supplemental.
Yeah, and.
We'll change the ones that wanted to be removed.
Great, okay. Sorry, aye. Thanks.
Okay, any opposed? All right. Who has five?
Is that me? Sorry. Number 5, whereas the village treasurer has reviewed the village's investment policy and made updates to ensure compliance with New York State General Municipal Law, Sections 10 and 11, and whereas the Budget and Finance Committee has reviewed and approved the updated investment policy and recommends adoption of said policy, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby adopts and approves the updated investment policy. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Number 6.
Mhm.
Whereas the Village of Southampton is the owner of the premises situated at 80 Main Street, Southampton, New York, upon which is a building known as the Pelletreau Silver Shop, and whereas the Southampton Historical Museum has long occupied and operated the Pelletreau Silver Shop, and then with the knowledge and consent of the village pursuant to the parties' long-standing informal arrangement, and whereas the parties desire to formalize their agreement to permit the museum to apply for grants for improvements to the building, now therefore be it resolved, the Village Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor, subject to the approval as to the form of the village attorney, to enter into an agreement with the Southampton Historical Museum for the Pelletreau Silver Shop property with a term ending June 30th, 2064, which is consistent with other leases within with the Southampton Historical Museum.
Yeah, I believe it was a 100-year lease from
Okay.
1964 to 2064, and that's why we decided to make them simultaneous.
So you'll make the motion?
Oh, I'll make the motion, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. And is there a
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And, yeah.
And-
I have to recuse myself from this. My husband is the president of the board of the History Museum, and I've had no discussions with him on this. He's not discussed with me. He's not, I don't think, been involved in it, but for those reasons, I just feel I need to step aside on this vote.
Thank you.
Whereas the village relies on volunteers to serve on its land use boards, other village boards, commissions, and committees, and whereas the village board of trustees believes it will be advantageous to the village to advertise for such positions on a regular basis and in advance of vacancies so as to attract a wider range of applicants from throughout the village and allow time for consideration of all applicants. And whereas the village board desires to advertise an invitation to all interested and qualified residents interested in serving the village on a board or committee on the village official website and by publication in the official newspaper of the village, now therefore be it resolved that without limiting the mayor's power of appointment contained in 4-400 of New York State Village Law, the board authorizes and directs the mayor to, in advance of the annual organizational meeting, advertise vacancies of the village's land use boards and other boards, commissions, and committees of the village, and invite qualified individuals to submit an application to serve. And be it further resolved that the board may conduct interviews or such other review process as it deems appropriate of all qualified candidates. I make the motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the request of the Town of Southampton's Community Preservation Fund, CPF, to waive the demolition fee related to the application of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation and Building Department of the Village of Southampton as they relate to 1950 Meadow Lane, Southampton, New York. I make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Oh, I think that seems like it's.
Is that me? Okay, sorry. Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the village administrator to issue a request for proposals to qualified respondents to install a VoIP internet-based telecommunications system that connects the multiple municipal departments and village buildings into a cohesive communications system. I will make the motion.
Second?
So discussion. Right now, we have multiple contracts that are really not helpful, and I believe if we have one system, we will be able to have an economy of scale here, and we'll have actually a better system for the village. Most of us are now using cell phones anyway, but this is so that we have another communication system hardwired, well, actually internet-based, but again, that would be throughout the village instead of the numerous accounts we have right now. I believe it's with Verizon.
Correct.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think it includes the PD, though, does it?
No, the PD is going to be, they have their own communication systems.
So it's not the whole
All
village,
right.
but it's mostly.
Okay, excluding the police department. All right, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Whereas the Board of Trustees would like to approve the creation of the Southampton Village Volunteer Juniors Program proposed by the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance, SVVA. Excuse me. And whereas the goal of the program is to provide a structured pathway for local students to become involved with the SVVA at an earlier age so that when they reach the qualifying age to join the SVVA as a regular member, they will have a strong foundation, understand department operations, and be able to immediately offer significant contributions to the organization. And whereas the SVVA will provide students with ongoing training and exposure to EMS education and awareness, CPR and first aid training, leadership development, teamwork and responsibility, and community service events. And whereas the Board of Trustees determined that such a program offers a compelling public interest, particularly for ensuring the long-term sustainability of emergency and first responder services, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and trustees support the creation of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Junior Program by the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance. I enthusiastically make this motion.
I enthusiastically second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the Rotary Club of Southampton to hold its scheduled 35th Annual Firecracker 8K Walk Run on Sunday, September 6, 2026, from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., with the start and finish at Agawam Park. I make the motion.
Second, and just discussion. So this was the firecracker race that was postponed because of the storm the night of July 4th. The race organizers felt it best to postpone the race rather than running starting at 7:30 a.m. on that Sunday morning with the trees and wires that were still down. So this is merely moving it to the next long weekend, that being Labor Day of this year. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I will make a motion also now to bring on the supplemental agenda, which is quite lengthy. I think there are 9, but...
Some are going to get marked off.
Okay, so we will, do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Rob, why don't you take the first one here?
Well,
Number one,
Number one, we're not going to add, trustee.
Oh,
Cohen.
we're not gonna,
Because-
we're not gonna do that now.
Right, we wanted to reconsider
Okay,
that, the
okay.
language.
Okay, all
Okay.
right, so then, well, we should,
So I'll make a motion to adjourn or exclude from this agenda, item number 1.
That's good.
okay, I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 2, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering a local law repealing and replacing Chapter 86 of the Village Code permit parking to clarify rules regarding beach and other permit parking.
It's
and where-
it's the same thing, Mr. Mayor.
No, I understand exactly what it is.
Okay.
I just thought that I should read it, although I don't
Okay.
have to read it. I mean, I could say that we are adjourning this, well, we already adjourned the public hearing,
Right.
so we will adjourn, though, this until the next meeting, and we will look at maybe changing it slightly
August 16th?
before that meeting.
August 15th.
August 15th.
The 13th.
13th, I was going to say, it must be a little earlier than
Okay.
that. Okay, so I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Why did I get the motion on alcoholic beverages? We can talk later. Very unfair.
All right. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering a local law amending Chapter 110-43 of the Village Code, Vehicles and Traffic, by updating and amending Schedule L, stopping, standing, and parking restrictions. And whereas a public hearing was held by the Village Board on July 9th, 2026, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, and now therefore be it resolved that the local law number 10 of 2026 is hereby adopted. I'll make that motion. This is the one about the parking at the hospital.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. The hospital will be pleased. Who was doing 4 again? I'm sorry.
Willa.
Oh, Willa. Okay, and we have some names that we have to add here as well.
Yes.
So you-
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the following additional appointments to the Southampton Village Committee with a term expiring June 30th, 2027. Youth and Diversity Committee, Denise Smith, new. Teresa King, new. Sewer District Task Force, Paul Travis, co-chair. John Wambold, co-chair, and Ann Bishop, Rachel.
And then we would like to add, council, to remove Michael Brode from the sewer task force. That was his request, Mr. Brode's request.
All right, so you want to amend the resolution?
Yes, we have to
You should
amend the
make a motion to
resolution.
amend the resolution.
I'll make a
then.
motion to amend the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just to amend it. So,
Others?
so the first one is to remove Michael Brode from the sewer task force. The next one is to remove Jeff Hull from the business, what's it called again?
Revitalization.
Revitalization, because he actually, I think, resigned earlier. But then there's also one more addition
Add Diana Buxton
to where?
to the business revitalization.
Oh, to business
committee.
revitalization, okay.
Yep.
Okay, and then there's another add of Monique Savarese to the Environmental and Sustainability Committee.
Correct.
So I
So
think
you should
that's
make a
it.
motion now to formalize that.
So
just
we'll make a
it's clear.
motion to
Okay.
make these additions to resolution number 4 on the supplemental agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And I just want to mention, I feel not in defense of, but to explain, Michael Brode had I had a confusion in my discussion with him. He would like to serve in some way in the village.
But not on the sewer task
but
force?
He feels the sewer task force is in very good hands. So we're going to find another
Okay.
role for him to.
Very
be
good.
part
So
of.
now you actually have to vote on this.
Okay, so
resolution.
we have a motion and a second on the amended version of Resolution 4 on the supplemental agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good.
Whereas traffic congestion in the village of Southampton has been an increasing problem over the years, and whereas it has been suggested that the stop sign on Moses Lane at the intersection of Fox Hollow Road and Moses Lane are causing unnecessary backups on Moses Lane without providing any real benefit. And whereas the Village Board of Trustees is willing to consider removing the stop signs on a temporary basis to calculate its common effect, if any, on the traffic in the village, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes a pilot program to remove the stop signs on Moses Lane at the intersection of Fox Hollow Road for a 2-week period beginning Friday, July 10, 2026. And be it further resolved, notwithstanding the above, the Chief of Police shall have the authority to temporarily terminate the pilot program at any time if she determines termination is required for public safety. I make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolve, the Board of Trustees approves the beach event application for Halsey Neck Beach on Sunday, July 19th, 2026 at 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. for 250 guests. Parking exception letters will be provided and prominently displayed on vehicles during the event. I'll make the motion.
I will second.
And I don't know if
So
anyone here
there is
can-
one discussion here. There are actually only 2 beaches currently that can be used for events like this because of the piping plovers. One is Fowler's Beach, the other is Halsey Neck Beach. The applicant here said that she would like to use Halsey Neck Beach, and this is actually something that we do regularly, although they have to put together a parking plan with car parkers and such, so that it does not cause any, traffic jam at that intersection of Meadow Lane and Halsey Neck. But Mimi is usually the one that handles this. I don't know whether you want to say anything, Madam Clerk.
So regarding that one, Kathy Sweeney, the village clerk of Southampton. Mimi receives the beach event application, and regarding this one, Halsey Neck will be the beach of choice, and they will be postured at Cooper's Beach. Starts at 6 p.m., and I will brief Matt Weeks, our Cooper's Beach manager, of the event if it is approved. And then the parking plan is also going to be coordinated by Charlie McCardle and his company, and they'll coordinate that with us.
Wait, Charlie McCardle is
Yes, he's the
How about
valet
that?
service
He's
for
got-
that
he-
particular event.
He also does all the traffic for
He
the
does
town.
that as well, I
He's
know.
the highway.
So,
Okay,
but there you
very
go.
good.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the request?
No, thank you for that explanation. One of the reasons I asked is there are a series of large events that take place, particularly on Meadow Lane and Gin Lane, particularly Meadow Lane in the summer, and some houses that have repeated very large events. And it is an irritation to nearby residents and anyone trying to get up and down the beach at times if there isn't professional off-site valet parking, which it sounds like there is in this case. But we may want to talk about ways to curb or have better described to us in the future some of those other events without these parking preparations. So I just wanted to take opportunity on this to say it's something we should discuss further, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with this.
But I do know that Mimi did call and find out that there are only 2 beaches that don't have plovers, and this is one of them, and so that's one of the reasons why this was selected. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Yes?
Thank you, Kathy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolved that the chairs of each land use board shall no less than annually review the appointment of legal counsel assigned to their village land use board to ensure that such counsel continues to provide effective legal representation and remains free of any actual or potential conflicts of interest. And be it further resolved that each land use board attorney shall complete an annual financial disclosure in the form described in section 7-22C of the village code and as provided by the village clerk. I will make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Maybe discussion?
Oh, sure, we can have a discussion.
Because we have 2 resolutions that are saying the same thing, but one where the chairs are making the review, and the other one is the board is making the review.
So, my rationale.
Can we
for-
do both?
My rationale for that was that the members of those land use boards know best how their attorney is performing. We, as members of this board, don't usually interact with attorneys for the various land use boards. And again, that probably wouldn't be a good practice if we were always looking over their shoulder. But I feel that, again, if the land use board and their chair have an issue with the attorney that is, providing service to them, legal service to them, that they should be the ones that then come forward and say, look, we're having an issue here. We would like the board to change our attorney. And we did have that actually occur once that I can remember while I've been mayor. It came to our attention, and so we actually did switch that person from one of those boards. But anyway, so that was the rationale behind this.
Can I just
so
give
explain.
a really quick play-by-play for anyone who has the agenda or has it at home or has a printed copy? We're talking about basically supplemental agendas items number 7 and 8. I think those are posted on the website right now. So I just wanted to say it's 2 versions, number 7 and number 8 on the supplemental.
And we're on number 7 right now.
We're on number
We're on
7. Right, I know, but number 8 is just a different version.
Oh, yeah,
I just
thank you
wanted
for clarifying
Just wanted
that.
to say. Yeah.
May I respond to that?
May I say something first? I mean,
Oh, sure.
the difference is that the chairs of the boards would have a complaint of their legal, legal counsel whenever it happens. It doesn't have to be on a yearly basis, but what we are talking about
Right.
is having a review on a yearly basis
Right.
by the Board of Trustees. I'll let Trustee
Yeah,
Bernstein.
So my
comment
thought on that, though, was that we would need some sort of report or communication from that board through the chair to us to explain how they think that council is performing. Is that, you see what I'm trying to say?
Well, but only really if they have an issue.
No, but I think it's fine to have just an annual report. I mean, they can do an annual report every year and say, everything seems to be going well, we're very happy, we're pleased with the legal services that were being provided, and we don't see any issue at this time. But they might say, we have an issue and we would like you to look again.
The problem is that you've claimed sole appointment power of these board chairs, although some of them are appointed in our code by the Board of Trustees, so that those people are not, the ones that need to opine on the appropriateness or conflict of their counsel. It has to be, we have supervisory power. We just put these law firms in place. We were asked to vote on them. So we have responsibility to make sure that we're talking in public meetings about any perceived conflicts, and that we do that review process. Because the people who are appointed to the boards are not being appointed in an open manner where we're selecting from people and having an opportunity to talk to them about the roles and different interactions of the board lawyers and the board heads. And right now, we don't have a system that is working very well, which is one of the reasons I ran for office. So it's very important to oversee that and ensure that people, residents of the village, that that's an open and fair process with attorneys without conflicts who are giving them independent advice. And the only way to do that is for the legislators who are elected by the people in the village to have some oversight and try to guarantee not discussions that we have about potential conflicts.
But how would we know what was going on within those individual boards?
Because they're all televised, they're all, on the website. You can look at them every day of the week. You can attend the public meeting. You don't get involved as a trustee, but you can be fully aware of what's going on.
You're assuming that there seems to be some collusion between the chairman of these committees and their attorney.
I'm not assuming that at all, but based on my
What you just
experience,
said
the
was
lines
alluding to that.
I
Clearly.
certainly didn't say it, but
You didn't say it the way that I just said it
I'm
directly.
arguing that those are not the appropriate people, since they don't have the selection process and they're fully appointed by one person.
And that is
it's
the power.
abdicating our
But-
responsibility
no,
to look
but-
into
but-
that
but-
it's fairly administered, which is the central thing in a village where land use boards
Willa.
decide everything.
Willa, again, I
Trustee
can only,
Bernstein.
I can,
Trustee Bernstein, not Willa.
okay, she can call me Bill. All right, so, I call you Ed, is that wrong? Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make, though, is that again, the appointment power, the nominating power for these positions under 400 rests with the mayor. If there's a problem, then I'm the one that has to then terminate that person and find a replacement.
But it is you cannot argue with the fact that under our code, the chairman and the vice chair, the chairwoman or the vice chair, is appointed by the Board of Trustees exclusively. And in all of those land use boards, it's codified. It's in every
But we're
code
talking about
provision.
the attorney now. We're talking
No,
about the attorney now.
I was making the argument that the board heads that are appointed by one person, nominating those people, are not the appropriate, they don't have oversight of how things are organized in the village and whether there are conflicts of interest that are exposed. And we were elected to make that process more open, and we are obligated to do it. And I don't know why anyone,
Trustee Bernstein,
I don't know why we would resist this.
I've asked you what conflict of interest you have found that is a problem right now. You have not come up with any evidence at all. So what is the issue?
The issue is I was on the planning board for almost 3 years, so I saw how it operated, and it needs to be
That
more
attorney
free
is
of
no
conflicts.
longer working for the village.
I was told when I was on the planning
you
board
had an
that
issue
our
with that.
code didn't apply anymore and that it had been superseded by
Okay, I can't go back
case
into
law
like history of
and-
what happened, you know,
But that's not the
previously
role
with
of
a different
lawyers to the
attorney.
board, so we have to make sure that the lawyers to the board are not invalidating our entire code provisions and telling us they've been superseded, but not recommending rewriting them. We have to have some, we as legislators have to maintain some oversight
I have
of
complete-
who is governing those boards, not just have it on the
They're
agenda.
not governing the
and
boards.
we're-
They should not be governing the
No,
boards. They
they're-
should be providing
They are governing the
legal.
boards.
well,
Yeah,
no,
they
should
are.
be providing
I
legal
agree with
assistance.
you, and that's what the second provision is designed to address.
Well,
And
I
you-
don't, you know, I don't want to get into why you resigned from a position that you had on the planning board. I mean, the point is, right now, these boards are being served by very able, competent attorneys. If we want to have annual reviews of their performance and the service that they are providing the individual boards, we can do that. But at the end of the day, these appointments are for the mayor to do.
No, the board
Yes.
appointments are, we serve as a
No, I'm
board where
talking about the attorneys.
I know, and we have approval power, but we
But you
want
don't
to
have the
change-
power to just decide to remove them.
But you don't have the power to just appoint them without us having some knowledge of who we're voting on and what
No,
the
we
appro-
can get you
or
a
remove-
resume or.
Or remove law firms if they're acting in a way that is overbearing and getting involved
I
in
would
the
hope, Trustee
decision-making
Bernstein, that you would
process.
come to me if you thought that one of the attorneys was doing something wrong.
I did come to you,
What-
but then I had to resign because there was
I
nothing
don't know
done
why you
about it.
resigned, actually. I don't understand that. Anyway, I just said I didn't want to get into that.
Well, I did come
The
to
point-
you, but why are we putting this oversight, if it's an important issue, into the hands of people who are working, who are appointed by one person, who are working closely with the boards themselves? They're too close to the process. We
I don't
should have
understand
some
how you
oversight.
think that the members of the board and their chair cannot work with their counsel. That doesn't.
They don't choose their counsel, and they're.
If they have a problem, they'll come to me, and as I said, that actually happened once while I've been mayor. They came to me and they spoke about an issue they had. We changed the council.
That's not a sufficient safety measure, and it doesn't address how the boards are actually operating and how they're telling us that our code doesn't apply to anything and has been superseded. And I've seen that in action, which is why I ran for office.
Okay.
So I
You
feel
haven't
a
been on the planning board
responsibility.
in 3 years now. I actually don't think
It's
you know
operating
exactly
the
how they're
same way
operating.
it was. If you look at the televised.
All right, anyway, I don't know what we're
Recorded
supposed to do here.
board.
Does anyone else have another idea? Because again.
Well, we vote on it, that's
Decide
what we
which of these
do.
two resolutions to vote for. That's how we decide it. Let's just put them both up and see which one wins.
Maybe
Rob, do you
both.
have any comment?
It can't be both because they conflict.
I'd have to be guided by sort of definitive legal counsel in terms of certain items on this. I understand very much the principles that Trustee Bernstein is talking about. I thought part of our discussion on Monday indicated that on matters related to this, maybe specifically related to council, that maybe the best practice would be to listen to the boards themselves.
Yes.
I thought that's what we discussed on
That's
Monday.
exactly.
If they had a concern, and that it should be their choice, that we did have the discussion on Monday.
Right.
I thought people agreed to it. You don't agree to that.
Wait, no, I don't agree to that at all.
I thought it was
But
part
that
of
was part of the conversation we had at the
Not-
organizational meeting.
Not for the boards to themselves decide if their lawyer is.
No,
as
not to
competent
decide,
or
but
responsible.
but that they deserved the counsel that they were comfortable with, that they felt was giving them confident advice, and that we should be guided by their requests for initial representation or any concerns. But on the one hand, on the other hand, I agree with the idea that I do agree with the idea that that our board ought to have some process, a regular reporting process or some other process for determining whether there is a potential conflict or an actual conflict.
We're the
and-
governing body with the oversight and the plenary power to set the procedures, and I'm just, with these proposals, we're trying to put a procedure in place to make things more open and fair, and to make sure that.
But this says that the board no
vote-
less than annually to review appointment of legal counsel assigned to their village land use to ensure that such counsel continues to provide effective legal representation and remains free of any actual or potential
Resolution
conflicts of
7
interest.
Right, but
Those-
the
you
board of
claim the
trustee.
exclusive responsibility to appoint those people, and they're not gonna come forward and say that there's
they
a
will.
problem.
They
No,
actually already
don't.
did. They
You
already
said
did.
once in the history of when
Once
you,
that
since
I've been
you-
mayor.
you were here before as a trustee, but that's a long time serving.
No,
You've
I'm
heard
talking about
once.
only when I've been mayor. I did have one board come forward and have concerns about an attorney, and we switched that attorney.
To me, that's abdicating responsibility for
No, that's my
a real and
responsibility.
legitimate
That's my
problem.
responsibility under 4400 is have the appointing power for the village. It rests with the mayor.
But we also have the
You maybe don't
approval
like that
power,
idea,
so-
but yes, exactly. But so how can
This
we-
is a procedure, it's not, we're not talking about appointments, we're talking about the procedure for overseeing.
And I'm trying to
that
come
the
up with
boards
a
and
way
the
to do
lawyers
this
are
that
not
makes sense.
unduly
And
influenced by the
the
law
Board of
firms, and they're
Trustees
not
has
conflict.
oversight, and the Board of Trustees is appointing and approving these attorneys.
They're not
and-
appointing them.
No, we're
You
approving.
are,
We're
we're
voting on
approving,
them.
The
appointing,
appointing
you're
power
appointing.
for the attorneys
The
rests
mayor is
with the mayor.
appointing, the mayor is appointing, and the board is approving. And we should have oversight, and it should start from the board, not from the chair.
So,
We should vote on it, I mean, at some point, unless we're not, we're still speaking
just some
about
further
it. Yeah.
discussion, because I was aware of this, I think I spoke with trustee Simeoni and others on this today. And so I made an attempt to try to maybe bridge the gap here, and it may not be sufficient, but I'm wondering if we might consider a combination of the two. I'm going to get to I think the most important part of this, which would be the third paragraph on what I've just handed around, with apologies to the public, but for verbal consideration. Further resolved that at any time that either, one, any land use board recommends seeking an alternate legal counsel, and/or two, a majority of the Board of Trustees determines, based on documented knowledge or belief that any legal counsel to a land use board has a conflict or other circumstance that prevents them from performing fairly or effectively their duties to that land use board, the village board may request that the appropriate authority, let's leave aside whether it's the mayor or the board, the appropriate authority appoint an alternate replacement counsel or propose other changes in the best interest of the village and its residents. The intent here is to keep the process of additional or codifying the financial disclosure that's already going on. It's requiring that the board chairs do, at no less than annually, review the appointment of legal counsel and provide a written report to the board, which I assume, if it were necessary or appropriate, they could do in executive session if there were sensitivities on employment and contracts or personnel matters. But that report would come to this board annually. They would be required to codified to file their financial disclosure, and then we could, based on whoever the appropriate authority is, to be still hashed out. If that is in fact the board, which is I think what you're saying, Trustee Bernstein, that the board then would, we'd be requesting ourselves to make it an alternate replacement. If the mayor is right on this issue of who has the authority, then the mayor would at least initiate that replacement, subject to our approval. But it's kicking the can down the road only on this determination of who is actually responsible, which is a separate issue that can be decided. That's the intent of drafting this. And I don't know if anyone wants to comment on it.
I don't think it solves the problem, because you're abdicating responsibility of the board to oversee this question and relying on. It's relying on the chairs of the board who are appointed basically by one person to do a certain thing on the board, and it's relying on them to come forward to alert us to problems instead of us having a responsibility to monitor, like, if they're being unduly influenced. That's the point.
Okay, but we also received their financial disclosures, and I'm not sure what powers we would have to additionally find these things out if.
We could have a hearing about it, we could vote as a board, and if a majority of us felt that something that wasn't working appropriately, we could then vote on it, and the mayor could vote on it as well as one
Well, in
member
this case,
of
if
the Board of
something's really not
Trustees.
working appropriately based on either the recommendations from the board or based on other correspondence that we get, other documentation from some source that says, hey, there's a conflict here, it's not being resolved, there's a pattern of poor advice, that's other documented knowledge that would then allow us to initiate the process. And if we're the authority, we not only initiate the process, we would then make the nomination.
We're just relying on a sort of whistleblower situation in a scenario where we're just, one person is appointing those people. We don't get a lot of information.
Trustee
about
Bernstein,
it.
as I've said, 400 gives appointing power to the mayor. That's the way state law is set up.
But we're not talking.
You can't by a local resolution overrule state law.
This is
We're
the
not doing that.
procedure, this is a procedure for making sure there's no conflicts. It's
No,
not,
we're not
it's not, it
doing
has
that.
nothing to do with your appointment power. I don't see.
Well, it
that.
is, because you're saying that then you have removal power, and that you
Well,
would...
we could bring a motion to change instead of putting powerful law firms in place where they're just there and everyone's at the mercy of how it's operating, we could
don't
just
have
at
law
least
firms.
bring a motion.
We don't have law firms. We have attorneys. Individual
We have
attorneys.
lawyers that are associated with law firms. Yes, we have individual lawyers,
But they are
many of whom
individual.
are with law firms, but that is kind of irrelevant. I just don't understand, like, this is just a
Because,
good
again,
good
it's-
government provision,
You're-
suggestion
you're
based
trying
on
to
our personal
supersede- You're trying to
experience.
supersede state law.
I disagree. No, we're not.
Well, we're going to agree to disagree then, because, I mean, I am not willing to have a resolution do something that's illegal to weaken the powers of the mayor just because you don't like that the mayor has additional powers given to him by the state.
I don't mind the mayor's powers at all. I just know how the boards are operating, and I would like to make a positive change on how they're operating and how they're influenced by their board attorneys, and a better process, and that's completely within the purview of how our government is set up with a board of trustees and a mayor, and us having oversight and policy and being elected by people who expect us to do the right thing and
Right.
and put in positive.
And I was elected by the people to do the right thing as well.
Yeah, now we're discussing what is the right thing.
This is the right thing.
Yeah, some of us disagree.
Okay, I can't help you with that. So, what do you want to do?
Does the information you sent around earlier on municipal home rule law, I assume that's not related to appointments of this type?
No, this is just, we're just talking about oversight of the Board of Trustees of people who were asked to
There can
approve
be-
and putting them in roles and having some oversight. And it comes out of a very serious problem that is systemic here. So that's what it comes out of. But
Okay, I mean, I didn't
I would
experience that
not-
when I
I
was
would
on the
not-
ARB, but you know or you believe right now that there is a serious problem in terms of incorrect or improper influence or advice from.
And who's writing the decisions from the boards and all of that? The ability to discuss and negotiate as board members, the ability not to be interfered with in your decision-making process as a board member. This is all on the record. It's all in the public record. It's all there to see from public meetings. It's been put on the record, so it's not, I'm not
You haven't
revealing.
cited one example. You haven't cited one example, except to say it's on the public record. Give me one example of a conflict of interest where somebody has said something and influenced a decision. Give me one example, Willa. Stop talking about backroom deals and give me one example. 'cause
I
you've
just
never
gave you
brought
an
one up.
example. When I was a board member, if I had a view of things that the attorneys didn't like, I would say that, I would get a call from the village attorney who would straighten me out about what the law is, and that's not the right thing.
The village attorney called you up and straightened you out?
She wasn't, I don't think, attorney at the time.
No, I was. I don't know what she's talking about.
did
I've
she
never
call
called
The
you
her.
law firm
Australia?
repeatedly told me that if I didn't like what the.
So you
law
had-
firm.
So you had
It's
a
not a
problem
law
with the
firm, it
board
was an
counsel.
individual attorney. That attorney no longer works for the village, Willa.
But I will say this, just listening to it, because the suggestion that it's bad legal advice for an attorney to tell a planning board or any board member that our code has been superseded by a court decision is just wrong. The attorney has an obligation to tell the board, hey, our code still says this, but there is case law from the higher court that's binding on us that says something different. So if that's the advice, because that's the example you raised that I heard, I don't know, but if that's the issue, the attorney is appropriately advising their clients. There are examples of this everywhere.
You were meeting with the heads of the boards, not in open meetings and
I did
changing
not
the
meet with
procedures
heads of,
public
I
boards.
answer questions occasionally
No,
for
they changed the
board
procedure
chairs.
and then they put that on the record.
No, I don't
Yes,
know what
it
you're
is.
talking about.
It's on the
No.
record. It's in a board meeting.
Okay,
It-
Willa, we're
That
not-
nobody had a procedure
We're
set
not gonna
up
get this
that
off
where
tonight, but
attorneys tell
we
board members
can't
how to
just change
vote.
the whole
Attorneys
way
give legal
the village
advice,
operates.
that's
I mean-
it. You make your own vote.
We
You
were
stand up
asked,
and vote.
we were asked to raise our
What do you
hand
wanna
in public and say
I'm gonna
which way
abstain
the
on
wind
both.
was blowing on.
But how else is the attorney going to write the decision on behalf of the board if they don't know what the board thinks?
The way to do it is after they've deliberated, heard all of the evidence, heard all of the applications, and then had the benefit of the hearing is closed and they are asked to
But the
vote.
attorney still has to know, just because they hear the conversation, they still have to know how the board members want this to turn out.
No, and then they don't hear how they want it to turn out and give it to the lawyers to write up a decision before the hearing is closed and everybody has presented everything they want to do, and then the board members have an opportunity in public to discuss it with the public listening to the discussion about it. And I'm sorry if
Well, I would agree
people
with that.
are
There should be a
uncomfortable. I'm
discussion.
sorry if people are uncomfortable with, not just having ribbon cuttings or saying what we're doing, but these are important issues about good governance, and everybody here should stand up in their votes for what is the right thing to do.
It's disparaging the attorneys who work for the village.
No, not at all.
And
Many of those
the
attorneys
chairs of the
are
boards,
excellent.
and the
I'm
chairs
not
of the boards.
disparaging
Yes, you are. You're
anyone.
saying,
calling
you
it a
alluded to the
systemic
fact that they're
problem when we
somehow
only have one
colluding with the
example.
lawyers. Trustee Bernstein, this is, it's,
I didn't
let's,
say
we have to
anyone was
move on
colluding
here.
with anyone.
You
This is just
alluded
a
to that. You
policy
alluded to
matter.
that. You alluded to that. All right, should we just try and get through this, because I'm not sure what else to do. So, we have,
You have a motion and a second on number 7.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Opposed?
Nay.
I'm going to abstain. Because I feel we need more determination on
So
some of
what
the
happens when you have
legalities
2
here.
for and 2 against?
It doesn't pass, so you move on to the
Okay,
next one.
Next one. Let's do number 8. Trustee Bernstein.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees shall no less than annually review the appointment of legal counsel assigned to the village's land use boards and advisory boards to ensure that such counsel continues to provide effective legal representation and remains free of any actual or potential conflicts of interest. And be it further resolved that at any time, the Board of Trustees may reaffirm existing appointments or make changes as it determines to be in the best interest of the village and its residents. Make a motion to adopt that.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
And I'm going to abstain. And I think this topic deserves
So
more...
neither passes.
I think this topic deserves more discussion. I definitely applaud and want to support the idea of good governance. I don't think we've
This is not about
we've
that.
not, well, no, I'm just saying, I think this is about that a little bit, but I think we've not split the atom correctly yet. And I'm willing to work with Trustee Bernstein and Trustee Simeoni and others, everyone on this board, to find the right way to get the kind of oversight that I think actually we do have the power and the obligation to exercise, Trustee Bernstein. I think you're right about that. I don't think we've quite done it right yet, with all due respect. And clearly, we also, it would be nice to get to a little more consensus before we vote. The vote may not change, but that's the reason for my abstention. I feel that this is a great conversation to have, and I applaud and support the principles of more oversight. I just don't think we're there yet in form. So I wanted to
I
explain
think the
why I'm
land use
abstaining.
Thank
use
you.
boards need to be independent and make independent judgments, not looking over the shoulder whether or not.
I don't think that's what's being said, though, Trustee Stevenson.
It
With
says
all
that,
due respect.
that resolution says, at any time, the Board of Trustees may reaffirm and make changes as it determines so the board is gonna be saying, yeah, we don't like that attorney, they're not doing it the way we wanna do it, and they're gonna.
That's one of
so
the protections I would say we need to address.
Well, the
Yes.
attorney is then gonna be looking over his shoulder and giving advice based on whether he thinks the Board of Trustees, as politically constituted, wants to do what they're talking about. And the land use board should not be paying attention to the political constitution of the Board of Trustees. They should be doing the right thing according to the code of the land use boards.
That's my-
Maybe the idea is just that they don't threaten the board members with having to vote, in a certain way that is desired. That is what it is designed to
All
preclude,
right.
because there is that sort of thing
All right, we've had both of those.
on the record, as I said.
Resolutions, we'll go to resolution number 9.
Whereas each member of the Board of Trustees is independently elected by the residents of the village and has both the right and the responsibility to raise matters of public concern propose matters of discussion, and participate fully in the legislative process. And whereas a prior board resolution, policy, directive, rule, or practice has required concurrence from a second member of the board before an individual trustee may bring a matter before the board for consideration, and whereas the board finds that such a requirement unnecessarily restricts the ability of an elected trustee to fulfill the responsibilities of the office by presenting matters for public discussion and consideration, and whereas the board further finds that permitting each elected trustee to place matters before the board promotes transparency, encourages the full exchange of ideas, and ensures that matters of public concern may be openly considered by both the board and the public. And whereas the board wishes to restore a simple, transparent agenda process that allows each elected trustee to bring matters before the board for discussion, deliberation, direction, or possible action, subject only to applicable law, procedural requirements, executive session rules, and lawful notice requirements. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby rescinds any prior resolution, policy, directive, rule, or substantially similar practice requiring concurrence from another member of the board before an individual trustee may bring a matter before the board for consideration, and be it further resolved that every member of the Board of Trustees shall have the right to request that a matter be placed before the board at any regular meeting or work session, provided such request is submitted sufficiently in advance to permit lawful public notice, agenda preparation, and distribution of supporting materials, where applicable, and be it further resolved that nothing in this resolution shall be construed to authorize any action inconsistent with the New York State Open Meetings Law, the Freedom of Information Law, attorney-client privilege, personnel confidentiality, procurement requirements, or any other applicable provision of law. And be it further resolved that nothing contained herein shall be construed to diminish, alter, or interfere with the statutory duties and authority of the mayor as presiding officer of meetings of the Board of Trustees under the village law of the state of New York. Rather, this resolution is intended solely to establish the board's internal policy that each elected trustee shall have the opportunity to bring matters before the board for consideration through the agenda preparation process, subject to applicable law and the board's adopted rules of procedure. And be it further resolved that the village clerk and village administrator are directed to revise agenda preparation procedures and related administrative practices as necessary to implement this resolution. I make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion. The only thing I have an issue is we keep talking about an individual trustee. I think it should say an individual trustee or mayor. That it's not limited only to the trustees.
Of course.
That the
Well,
mayor has.
that was the intent here.
Yeah, exactly, I was
Yes.
wondering that. So what I'd like to do is change this, so in every instance where it says individual trustee, it should say individual trustee or mayor.
I concur.
Okay.
Can I ask one point
Concur.
of law, though, to the village attorney? Is it a requirement that when a resolution is raised, that resolution be seconded before discussion can begin? Is that an actual legal requirement?
Yes, before discussion.
When it comes to being a resolution, if someone.
If a resolution is raised and there's
Yeah,
no
if there's no
second-
second, I don't think you can go
No,
forward
that's
with it.
not in the
Okay,
law at
okay.
all. It's in the law that any trustee can raise.
I agree with that.
Any.
I agree with
No, that's correct, but we're saying that when it's proposed, if someone makes the motion and there's no second, it can't move forward.
Okay, yeah, I think trustee seems.
Oh,
You see what I'm
I think-
saying?
yeah,
she had-
I think we're
Yeah,
discussing
that's what he would-
putting items on the agenda,
that-
but I
yeah, but
think
he was
Roy
asking-
raises a very good question.
His question was going to be, sorry.
If it requires a second, meaning another trustee has to agree with it,
Or the mayor.
or the mayor, then you gotta have two people.
So the
That's-
question
that's
is,
my
can
point.
discussion occur before the second?
No, you can't have discussion
And not-
before a second.
No, that's not in the law, and any trustee, it is in the law, and it is in NICOM, any trustee can introduce and ask the clerk to put any resolution
Well,
that an
any
elected
resolution can
official,
go up.
elected by the people, want to put on the agenda. It should only require one trustee to make a resolution and put it on the agenda, because we're each equal of 5 people when we sit on this board to
Right.
legislate.
Good
So
point.
we must be able to put resolutions on the agenda without a concurring person.
I'm not
and
arguing
we
with that, Will. I'm
Right.
just
Right.
saying, if
Everyone
the
agrees.
discussion if to discuss it requires a second. And
Oh, yes. Just to discuss it. Sure,
Yes,
yes,
sure.
yes.
so
But I'm just
all that
talking
would
about the
happen then
agenda.
would be,
Yeah.
the resolution would be read. The person would say, do I have a second?
Oh, right,
And if
right.
there is no second, it stops there.
So
Right,
this doesn't,
right.
this isn't limited just to resolutions, though. This says any trustee has a right to put any matter
Well,
on the
sure,
agenda.
but we
Sure.
have public comment, I mean, yeah.
I understand, but
You're
not
talking
every
about like
matter-
a board
Yeah, but-
presentation or
It could be
something?
a board presentation, it could be another discussion, I just want to make sure that that's included.
Not
because
every
it's
matter
not
is-
necessarily a resolution.
Which brings us,
Although I think there's something in 4400 that the mayor is supposed to prepare the agenda, but I guess we.
Well, you-
Right, but
Mayor
I
doesn't
do
have to.
think independently elected
you
people should be allowed
prepare the
to.
agenda, but
Yeah.
we are able as
Yeah.
trustees to introduce
Okay.
in the time frame for.
Okay,
I
well,
hear-
that's another thing I wanted to raise. Happy to have resolutions like this sent to us. The reason why these were all in supplemental was we received the email containing these at 8:54
Yes.
a.m. this morning,
Yes.
the day of the meeting. So
Yes.
actually, they did not make the sort of statutory 24-hour
Yes.
advance notice to the public.
And I
The
appreciate
public-
and thank you
and-
for
and-
putting
and
them in.
what- Yes, but what I would say, Ed, Trustee Simeone, is that, again, I was criticized for not getting things out with up to 3 days advance notice so that the public had a right to look at what was written and what was going to be discussed at the meeting. I would argue that what you have done today by putting these on at 8:54 a.m. the day of the meeting, when it did not have time to even withstand the statutory constraint of 24 hours notice, the public was done a disservice because they did not get to see these in advance. So what I would say is we have to do a much better job about getting these out earlier to, you're smirking, but it's not funny because I can tell you, I worked very hard with the clerk and the deputy clerk all day to get this agenda done with
Understand.
all these supplementals. That is not fair to them or the mayor, quite honestly, for putting the agenda together because we received something at 8:54 the day of a meeting. That is highly irregular.
Trustee Simeone was trying to work cooperatively and get comments back from the village trustee.
I never saw any of this
Which
stuff.
was not necessary to get comments because she, should not be legislating with us. But he was trying to be cooperative and waiting on a discussion with you about getting comments back before. And then we were working most of the night to get it out on a
I know.
very tough deadline because your office didn't get it out in time for
No,
us to
okay,
have
you
time
get-
to respond. So,
Trustee
like-
Bernstein, you cannot blame me for not getting out something in time if it was not received until 8:54 a.m. the day of the
No, I'm
meeting.
talking about the
No.
initial agenda and then the discussion to
Half of this stuff
allow
was not on the initial
the
agenda.
village attorney
Half of this stuff was
to
not on the
rewrite
initial-
some of this stuff, which he shouldn't be doing anyway.
This,
I was directed to do that.
Trustee-
Well, you shouldn't be
trustees.
directed to do that.
Trustees, Bernstein, though, honestly, I am not going to be accused of not getting out
no,
something
it's-
You're
in
accusing
adequate-
Mr.
you-
Simeone.
Yes,
and
because
Trustee
I couldn't
Simeone
get
is
the
not
agenda out
right.
in
You
time.
did an exceptional job, and I appreciate all your effort. I was just waiting, I didn't want to get into it. Obviously, there was a miscommunication. I was waiting for an email from the village attorney with some new language, which I did not receive, but she put it instead on the agenda, which I had not seen. So I was waiting for that, and that's why.
Okay, well, there obviously has to be better communication.
Yeah,
Can
of
can we maybe
course.
go over
And-
what
And
are
I
the deadlines,
appreciate-
because I'm
and
new
if-
here.
Well,
appreciate
actually, the
the
deadline is
effort
supposed to
made.
be actually 3 days in advance is
So
when we
none of
try
us
to
are
get a
meeting the
draft out, is
deadline.
when we try to get a draft out.
Well-
Then there can be changes up until 24 hours
Right,
before the
right,
meeting.
right.
But again, to
So we're all
run,
doing a terrible job
No.
of the agenda on
No,
that point.
that-
72 hours. We should just do better on the 72 hours, then we would
yes,
all
but
have plenty
what
of
what I'm
time.
saying is, Trustee Simeone, accused me of not getting stuff out so the public could see what was going to be on the
I'm
agenda.
not accusing
early
you of
enough.
anything.
I didn't
But
know
now,
you were
we're getting something
Okay.
from you.
I'm not accusing you of anything.
8:54 a.m. of the
Mr.
day of the
Mayor, I
meeting.
am not accusing you of anything. I actually thanked you
But we-
for your
I appreciate that,
Can we
cooperation.
get back to this resolution?
Yeah.
I had to have some comments for it, because I hear what trustee Stevenson is saying, and we don't want to be inefficient, and if something is a resolution that's going to require a second is the brainchild of one of us who's silly enough not to get consensus and from at least one other person to discuss it, that's a risk here. But the rest of the board will catch up to that pretty quickly. The public will catch up to that quickly and get tired of it. So that's the check and balance to me on that.
Well, it happened to a previous mayor who would make motions and there was never a second.
So I would say I'm in support of this power and this resolution. I'd also just say that, you know, with power comes responsibility. So I would just say we all will have an opportunity and an obligation to use it wisely.
May I ask a question, though? Do we have to rescind the board's prior resolution restricting the ability to put
Yes,
things on the
it's-
agenda
It's
and
in there.
requiring
It's in
a...
there.
It's in there, okay, good.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, I argue that we have to add mayor to each.
Yes.
Oh, we
I
did.
agree.
You just
No
made a motion
problem.
to amend it. I don't
We
think
did.
anybody
Yes.
objects.
Okay, is there a second on that?
I'll second the amendment. to
All in
add the
favor?
mayor.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
And-
Okay.
But we also
And
have
now on the
to,
Okay, you have to vote on the
Full
resolution.
resolution.
All right.
That was the
and I make the
amendment.
motion.
Second.
As amended. He's making a
As
motion to
amended.
As
approve it as
amended.
amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay.
So I just, on a point of order, because we had other resolutions that were duly submitted that don't appear on the agenda, and one of them was to not have anyone make an independent judgment about the legality, illegality, or appropriateness of putting a resolution on the agenda, that any lawmaker here, any trustee, can have a right to put anything on the agenda, and then we can discuss and be advised by whoever our legal counsel is as to the legality, and then each trustee makes an independent judgment of whether it is legal or not, and they wish to vote on it, yay or nay, but they can't quash it beforehand and decide that it's not going to appear on the agenda, and certain resolutions that we introduced duly are not appearing here, and that was the same as for the first meeting, and that can't happen.
I've just told you, the first meeting, I received the proposed resolutions at 12:33 a.m., if I remember correctly. And the second meeting, as I've said repeatedly now, I received them at 8:54 a.m. the day of the meeting.
But some appeared and some didn't, so they were all submitted in the exact same timeframe, but the ones that were approved of in advance by I don't
Listen,
know
as I've
who
said,
appeared, and then the ones who weren't
clerk-
approved.
The clerk and the deputy clerk.
We can't operate like
worked
that.
all day to get this done. Trustee Bernstein, we worked extremely hard to get this done. So honestly, I don't think it's fair.
Well, the resolution was to not allow anyone in advance to decide which resolutions of duly elected trustees appear on the agenda, and that should have appeared on the agenda, and it needs to appear on the agenda, and no one is authorized to make that decision that we can't introduce laws or decide in private that it doesn't seem legal or it doesn't seem
Trustee
desirable.
Gross,
We can't do that because we're five equal
Have we
legislators.
just basically cured that with the resolution we just passed, though?
I think, though, the issue is that the
I don't
mayor
think we
sets
did. No.
the agenda, and I'm not disagreeing that we didn't cure it. I'm trying to...
You're not disagreeing that you held back certain
I'm just
proposals
addressing,
for
I
the
didn't hold
agenda.
anything back. I don't set the agenda.
Well, who did?
The mayor sets the agenda. I don't
Okay,
hold
but
anything
who
back, but
didn't
there
put
is an
our- Who
issue.
didn't put our resolutions on
There can
it?
be an issue if you are trying to, but for example, make an appointment that that a trustee has no authority to do. You don't have the power to appoint certain people, so that has to be done by the mayor.
Okay, there's a disagreement about that, and we probably need to get some outside advice about that, because there's a conflict here, but in any event, I'm talking about resolutions. There are resolutions that we submitted.
I don't make decisions, the board makes decisions. I don't set the
but
agenda, the
board
mayor
didn't
does.
decide not to put those
mayor did.
resolutions on the agenda. The mayor did. So,
Because
but
there
the
was a
mayor's not authorized to do that.
There was a problem with the legality of some of them, and honestly...
That's not for you to decide.
Trustee Bernstein, let me just say,
Yeah.
I was working until 5:45
We all were.
practically. No, you got
We
this
were
all.
working all night, like.
Well, I can't help it if you work all night and give it to me at 8:54 in the morning. I was working all day with these two ladies here, and we barely got this all done by this meeting.
That
So
doesn't explain why you would decide unilaterally that something you think is illegal.
there seemed to be a legal question about it.
But
That's
then
the
put it on
problem.
the agenda, let it discuss it in public, and then you can vote no and say that you don't think it's legal based on what we hear here, but that we have to
Trustee
go through a
Bernstein,
public process.
Do you want to propose a walk-on resolution? A verbal walk-on
Yes.
resolution now on this?
Sure.
Is there any reason she can't?
You can do walk-ons if everybody votes to allow a walk-on.
I don't even know what the walk-on is, though.
Do we have a copy of what we proposed? We sent it to the clerk. Would you like to read it, Trustee Simeoni?
Want me to read it?
Yes, I'm taking a
Yeah.
break. Please.
Can you
Well, first,
characterize it first and then maybe read it?
What's it
Um,
called?
It's called affirming the advisory role of the village attorney and the board's authority to consider legislative matters.
Oh, thank you.
Do I have to make
Well, I don't have a copy of it, so I
Oh, we're just
don't even
reading
know
it
what we're
into the
looking at.
record.
We're
It's a
just reading
walk-on.
it. Do I have to make a motion for a walk-on?
Yes.
Yes, so I make a motion for walking on this resolution.
Second
Mhm.
that.
All in favor?
Nay,
Aye.
I need more time to be able to review this. I can't just do this on the
Aye.
fly.
This is not just the appointment of somebody to be the lifeguard or or beach attendant. This is a major decision. We have not had time to review it. I've never seen it. I've
So I
never
would-
discussed it.
So
I would
need
like
to
to
vote.
hear it, and I'll let you know
Let's hear it and see, yeah.
that I'm going to recommend an adjournment of whatever it is, even if I agree with it, because I think we need time to digest it.
I-
But we
That's
could
fair.
read it just to put it in the
I'd
record.
like
of
to,
as
fair.
to what it
I
is,
will
yeah.
say aye so that it can be read and understood.
That's fair, thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
It might not be
I don't wanna-
understood,
I
but-
don't want to judge it.
Whereas the Board of Trustees is the legislative and governing body of the village and is responsible for establishing village policy through discussion, deliberation, and action in accordance with applicable law. And whereas the village attorney serves as legal counsel to the village and to the Board of Trustees by providing legal advice, opinions, and recommendations regarding matters before the board. And whereas the board recognizes the importance of receiving timely legal advice regarding proposed resolutions and other legislative matters so that informed decisions may be made. And whereas the board further finds that legal advice, whether written or oral, should assist the board in carrying out its legislative responsibilities while preserving the authority of the board to determine the matters it wishes to consider and act upon, consistent with applicable law and the board's adopted rules of procedure. Now therefore be it resolved that it shall be the policy of the Board of Trustees that properly submitted agenda items and proposed resolutions shall not be withheld from consideration solely because the village attorney has expressed a legal concern or concluded that a proposal may be legally deficient. And be it further resolved that when the village attorney believes a proposed resolution raises legal issues or may conflict with applicable law, such advice shall be communicated to the Board of Trustees so that the board may consider the legal advice before determining whether to proceed with discussion, amendment, or action. And be it further resolved that nothing contained in this resolution shall be construed to limit the village attorney's professional responsibility to advise the board concerning applicable law, nor to authorize the board to take action contrary to law. Rather, this resolution is intended solely to reaffirm that legislative decisions concerning the consideration of agenda items remains the responsibility of the elected Board of Trustees, acting in accordance with the village code, applicable law, and the board's adopted rules of procedure. And be it further resolved that nothing contained herein shall be interpreted to diminish the right of any elected trustee as established by the board's rules of procedure to present legislative matters to the board for consideration.
So in plain or simpler English, I appreciate that. What's the intent here? What's the
The
problem we're
intent is
solving, and
that,
what's the intent?
the intent is that a proposed resolution should not be withheld from the agenda just because it's believed that it may conflict with some law. At the time that it's on the board's agenda, then the attorney can give the board advice concerning the law, and we can decide how to proceed. But it should be at least put on the agenda.
That independent judgments by the village attorney or the mayor or anyone else, for that matter, cannot make independent evaluations beforehand to quash introducing a resolution onto the agenda, which is in the law, something that each elected official can do to ask the clerk to put that on the agenda. And the mayor presides over the meeting under the 400 section that you keep talking about, but doesn't have the power to decide what we can introduce as independent, five equal lawmakers who are governing the village.
Well, but you agree that it doesn't really make sense to put things on the agenda that's illegal?
Well, as we've really detailed here tonight, the idea of what is illegal is, and we learned that in law school, is pretty subjective. So one person, attorney or otherwise, or elected official or otherwise, that's not in the hands of one person to decide what is legal in advance.
Who shall we rely upon?
No, we put it on the agenda.
If something
Well, we should have an independent.
comports.
Yeah, we should have independent, advice of counsel. But that's just
We have a village attorney.
who's at your direction advising you that things are legal and they're being
There
kept off
is
the
a-
agenda.
I represent the entire board.
She
Every board member
voices
does
her
not
opinion
get
when
their
she
own
thinks there's
attorney
something
paid for
illegal.
by the
She just
village.
said that you kept it off the agenda, but I assume that that's because you were advised that it's illegal.
No,
But
I looked
none
at
of
it.
that is the right procedure.
I looked at it and said, I don't know why we would put illegal legislation on the village agenda. I
But
did
then
say that.
anyone could say
That's
that.
correct.
Anyone could just quash the ability of any lawmaker to
No.
introduce anything, but that's the
I mean,
process is set up to
you're-
be able to introduce it. It's in the law. Then you get advised by your council. Then we discuss that. Then if the individual trustee doesn't believe it's legal, then they vote against it. You have your vote. That's all you have. But you don't have the ability to keep other lawmakers who are elected, their ideas off of the agenda. That's not
So
legal.
we could end up, though, doing something illegal that then and
No, we have
entail-
votes.
entail-
Three of
no,
us.
And that entails would become a lawsuit possibly,
That's okay.
and that we would
That's
then have
okay.
to.
We get sued often,
We don't
that's
get
not.
sued that often.
Okay, well, often enough, but that's not a reason to violate the law beforehand and keep things off the agenda. We can't do that. Are you saying that you don't have faith that three of us
And
will,
you can vote no to
that we
it,
won't
so.
put illegal, crazy propositions into our code? I mean, I think we're all reasonable people.
I for one am not an attorney. I know you're an attorney, Trustee Bernstein, but I mean, I for one would defer to our legal counsel who has years of municipal law experience to see whether she believes something comports with New York State law or other laws that would be applicable.
But
to
she's
make
not an
sure-
elected official, and nor does she have the right to make those calls about keeping things off the agenda, which was the point I made earlier, that board members shouldn't be getting calls saying, this is how it is and you better step in line. That's not okay. So we have to stop that here, and we also have to talk about it
No
because.
one's making calls saying you
Keep
better
saying
step
that.
in line. What are you
Well,
talking about?
the resolution's not on
Just
the
did.
agenda.
You
You
just
just
did.
said.
Because
You didn't like it. You thought it was
Yeah, you
illegal.
didn't like
We-
it.
because I think it looks illegal.
That doesn't
yes.
matter.
not.
That's illegal to keep it off the agenda because you think
not
it's
illegal.
illegal.
Can I
It's
just
not
add-
illegal.
can I
There's
ask-
nothing illegal about changing a policy. That's what we're here to do.
Can I ask our attorney a legal question? And you may not know, but to your knowledge, is there anything in New York State law that, with the mayor's agenda-setting power, he has the power to finalize, or to create the agenda, I should say, to create the agenda, based on
correct.
input from us, which we just codified, that we all have the right to put anything on. Is there anything that would say he has the legal right or ability to not include something that he believes is illegal? Or is his power broad enough that if he did feel it was illegal, that that's an acceptable thing that would be cured by discussion at a subsequent meeting, or bringing on a resolution?
I don't know if there's a case on it that
Okay.
would say one way or the other, but for
Yeah.
example, if it was purporting to make an appointment, having the Board of Trustees make an appointment, only the mayor gets to do that, so therefore, there's no point in putting it on the agenda because it would have no legal effect. You can't have other board members make appointments, only the mayor can do it. So that would be one example. I'm not really sure what we're talking about here because I didn't make the decision. I'm not sure if I answered a question for somebody and it was relied upon, I don't know. But my role is to advise. I serve as legal counsel to the three distinct people, the mayor, the village as an entity, and the board of trustees. So.
Well, there's a conflict, so.
I was appointed to represent the board of trustees.
There's a conflict because
There's
the
not.
legal advice is being relied on to keep our legislative ideas that we were elected to put forth off the agenda, and that's not legal.
I don't think you were elected to put forth illegal legislation.
But it's not illegal.
We don't agree that it's illegal, and what we read out, we just read it out in public, there's nothing illegal about it. We're just redefining for the roles of the village attorney in advising us as to what's good for the village. And then we can take her advice into account or ignore it, and we still have our independent vote. And that's central to the democratic process, which you were talking about last week with the 250th anniversary. So it's the most important thing we could talk about at these organizational meetings. So I'm sorry if it's not, lovey-dovey here at the moment, but this is super important. So we have to be able to, as legislators, introduce laws, and we can't just, no one person can decide in advance that we can't, because it's not set up that way. We're a legislative body with 5 equal people in this, format, deciding on which laws are being discussed. None of us can quash any of the other's ability to do that.
We do, and it may not be the best form, we do always have the ability to propose a walk-on resolution, always. So if something has the support of 3 of the 5 smart people up on this board, that's always an option to do. I'd be willing to do it tonight if there were more preparation for everybody to make an informed decision on this. But because of the timing issues involved and because it wasn't included on the agenda in this instance, it's not something that I feel comfortable opining on. I think we need a little more time, a little more information. But that's the safety valve we have right now. May be insufficient, may not be the right structure of the signal, but the safety valve now is for any of us to propose a walk-on resolution at any meeting and to get a second for it and have this discussion and to pass it.
So why don't we vote on it now? We've all discussed it at length, so we should know what we feel about it. This is just a resolution to say, reaffirm that the law says we can each introduce a resolution and there won't be a determination in advance.
I would be extremely
in
opposed
private.
to voting on something that I haven't seen a copy of. Haven't even seen a copy of it. Have to listen to you read it.
But Trustee
Proposed 5
Stevenson,
minutes
the
ago.
reason you haven't seen it is because
That's not my
the
problem.
Paul wasn't
It was
followed
on
to
the
put it on the
email.
agenda.
No. It was
My
received at
problem.
8:54 this morning, meaning
Right.
that the public has actually not even seen this.
All right, so we
But
can
we
propose
just
it for
read
the
it out in
next meeting.
public.
No.
But we need a guarantee
With
that it will
this many
appear
people
on the
sitting in the room,
agenda.
this should be something that everyone can read online at least 3 days prior to a meeting. I mean, come on.
So we can repropose it for the next meeting. That's fine.
That would be advisable.
I also didn't think anyone here understood a word of what was read.
That's not my fault.
Possibly.
All right, so can we just table this walk-on resolution? I'll make a motion.
Was there, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Was there another one?
No.
Okay. You said 2 resolutions that didn't make it onto the agenda.
Well, last week there were a couple that
Right.
didn't make it on. Well,
Right.
Why didn't those
Okay.
come forward again then? I
They
don't
did.
understand how
They
these
did.
things come
They did come
again.
forward.
Okay.
So
They
they're
did-
on today?
yeah, they did
Okay, so
come
then there
forward.
should be no
Okay.
problem.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I thought I heard
Those
2.
If they were put on today, then there's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just
It was
pointing
3
out that
days
the
ago.
procedure.
3 days ago, we had
yeah.
an organizational meeting on Monday. This is the first official meeting of the board on Thursday. 3 days is 3 days. All right. At this point, we are going to go to comments from board members.
Nope. Public comment.
Oh, sorry, public comment again. Anyone else want to speak? Oh, I'm so glad you're here and you stayed to do this. This is excellent.
Yes, I did.
All right, thank you.
I'm glad I passed that resolution so that you can speak.
Okay, I don't know. I am here on a topic that I care deeply about. I don't think this is a controversial topic.
Okay.
It's about public safety.
Yes.
It's about people going 50 miles an hour in 25 mile an hour zones, 50 miles an hour in 30 mile an hour zones. It's got to stop. It's deadly. I thought in November when I was here, maybe there is a conspiracy that you can help us uncover why in November everyone said, yes, the speed limit on Hill Street should return to 25. That's a safe thing. It happened in the meeting. It was recorded in the meeting. The trustees and everyone, the traffic consultant said, there's no reason not to have Hill Street at 25 miles an hour, and it's still at 30, and people go 50. And I just want to explain the dangerous situation. In the afternoons, when the westbound traffic is stopped and it's going 2 miles an hour, you cannot see into the eastbound lane until you're in the eastbound lane, okay? So I have children in the car, and even if I didn't have children, it's just me. I don't know what the cars are doing until I'm there. And they're coming at 45, 50 miles an hour. Someone's going to get killed because we don't know what's coming because they're going so fast. On First Neck Lane today, I was puddling along at 25 miles an hour, even though the speed limit's 30, and my daughter suddenly said, Mom, a deer. And a deer jumped in front of my car, and a little baby, okay, and I hit it. I stopped, but I still hit it. And luckily, the deer did get up and run away because I was going slowly. But she was still, it was a very traumatizing, I know no one cares about deer, but a little baby deer, it's just horrible. You just don't want to hit a living thing.
Understood, yeah.
So don't put people in Southampton in the position where they're going to kill something going 40 miles an hour down First Neck Lane or Hill Street or anything. No one should be in that position, either the person who's in front of the car or the driver. Nobody wants to do that, but I just don't think people pay attention. So what can we do to enforce speed limits? What can we do? Because I think
Again,
the police
I'm sorry
try,
that the
but they
police
don't.
chief couldn't be here tonight. I asked her if she could be present. Unfortunately, she had medical issues she had to take care of.
And I know that they're working so hard. I know that they are, and I don't think it's their fault. I think they're overwhelmed. The volume in Southampton is enormous, and I don't think there's anything we can do about the volume. But the speed limit is a law. Like, people just shouldn't be able to go as fast as they feel like going. And I've heard.
But I think the whole entire board agrees with you completely. I mean, obviously, no one thinks anyone should be speeding in our village.
But everyone does.
Yeah. Look, that's general enforcement, and maybe we could have a campaign, awareness-raising campaign. I would say to the issue you mentioned, and I'm familiar with it, and that a lot of people on other streets are, taking that left-hand turn against westbound traffic out of your driveway, as I do, it is dangerous.
I'm also just crossing the road.
The other thing that's happening today at the same time is people inching out, even to start that process. You have e-bikes going 25 to 35 miles an hour in the bike lane who aren't looking out either. So
I was going to raise that in my comments.
Okay, so I do think it might be fair to ask the chief if they could do a little extra enforcement or try to work in some extra enforcement on Hill Street or other roads where people are trying to cut across traffic during the afternoon commute, stop and go, for some period of time to try to bring that down. Enforcement has a half-life, but we can ask them to try to enforce more and see if we can, a few really large tickets and swirling lights have the effect of reminding people that there are bad consequences.
I know, but they're not. I mean, I actually love the police, and I've said it before, and I've apologized to the police chief for maybe being judgmental or whatever. I know they're doing their best. I know that they are, but I don't see them on Hill Street. And one day during the Open, they were at Hill Street and Halsey Neck Lane, and I noticed, like, coming back from the Open before I saw the police, I noticed that people going eastbound in the clear lane were going 30, 35 miles an hour. And it's because the police were there, and their little whatever in their cars said police ahead, and they slowed down. So that's the only deterrent. The other thing are speed cameras. I know it's like Big Brother, but I don't see another way about this. I know who I have to write, and
Albany.
I know that, but I know it's not controversial. Like, people who are super right wing, super left wing, all my friends say, like, you're doing God's work, although it seems like nothing's happening. It seems like it's a waste of time and I should just be with my children, because I've been at this for a year. I've been at this for a year, and it's actually even worse. And I'm not complaining about bumper-to-bumper traffic. I understand that's living in Southampton, but that doesn't mean that people can break the law. No one is entitled to break the law. I've heard people say, well, people are just so grateful to be out of the bumper-to-bumper traffic. They go 50 miles an hour. I mean, that's like saying you've had a bad day at work, you could come home and beat your wife because you're mad. I mean, it's like the logic doesn't hold, and someone is going to get killed. And again, it was this silly example of an animal, but I'm so grateful that I was going at a speed where I didn't kill an animal and have to drag it off the road or anything else. And people shouldn't be in a position where they're going to hit a kid on a bike. Or my friend a couple years ago killed a dog. And like, he's scarred, but he was going 45 miles an hour down First Neck Lane. So please help us.
No, thank you very much.
And if it's a waste of time,
Elizabeth,
also let me know.
No, it's not a waste of time. And again, I will make sure that I speak again to the chief tomorrow about, again, and more enhanced, speed patrols. And again, regarding, unfortunately, the speed cameras, the Albany has to approve that. And at this point, they said they approve it in a school zone, but obviously Hill Street is not a school zone. Although maybe we could say that the Catholic Church has a school there, so maybe we make that argument. But unfortunately, they are unwilling to give us the camera authority in the village to put where we would like to put them.
Then the police. I mean, we have a crosswalk. Thank you for letting me put the crosswalk right in the middle of the road. I mean, thank you for doing that but it doesn't even help. I mean, my husband, you have to wait for like 10 cars before you can cross the street. It's outrageous. I mean, it's just like such an egregious screw you to everyone who lives here.
Do those signs make any difference that remind you of what the speed
They do.
limit is?
They
and
do.
they change? Can we get more of those? Is that
Yes,
something that
we
we
can
could
certainly
do?
buy more of those. We've bought quite a few, and yes, they do.
Because Sag Harbor seems to have a ton of them.
Studies have been done,
but
and
yeah.
and people do slow down when they see those.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth's not wrong. I mean, it used to be 25 miles an hour on Hill Street. It was raised within the last, 10 or 15 years to 30. And so you're not wrong. And you are also correct that the traffic consultant said he saw no problem with reducing it. So I think the board should consider returning the speed limit on Hill Street back to where it was a few years ago.
Thank you.
So-
I mean, after November, I had multiple people call me, say, congratulations, you did it. It's basically approved, and it's still 30. And I spoke to someone from the town today, and she said, well, yeah, it should be 25 because that means people will go 40, right? But I'd rather be hit by a car going 40 than 50. Like, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
And people bike, and they're babies and dogs, and it's also like it goes into town to our beautiful village. And I would just say, when you buy a house on Hill Street, you're agreeing to keep the spirit of the old-fashioned village, right? Like, if people want to build McMansions, they don't buy on Hill Street.
Yeah.
And so honor what we've promised, honor us, and treat us like a village road, that we have pedestrians and bicyclists and everything else. So thank you. And I know you guys
Thank
are
you,
all
Elizabeth.
honest. So thank you for all your work. Thank you for cleaning up the trees. That was great.
They were cleaned up pretty quickly, I
They were
have to
cleaned
say.
up so quickly,
Yeah.
and the guy who did our tree was so nice. And so thank you. That was awesome.
All right, and
Thank
what
you.
happened to your daughter? I'm a little worried. I saw her earlier.
She'd wanted to speak to the police chief directly.
I know, and unfortunately, the police
She
chief
was super
wasn't here.
disappointed that she, yeah.
Yeah. But I hope she's not still wandering around here somewhere.
No, my husband took her to
Okay,
pizza.
okay.
And I promised her to have ice cream, yeah.
I'd go out for ice cream, too.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I think we have gotten to comment from board members. So we'll start with Trustee Bernstein.
Oh, I just wanted to say how interesting this has been and how excited I am to be participating in this process, and to echo what you, Mayor Manger, said. I just would want to raise that again about the 250th anniversary. And I think there's a lot of smart, dedicated people here. I respect all of you. I think you're dedicated to public service. And it's been a privilege to be able to work on campaigns here and advise people and get to know all of you. And I think we all want the same things, which is the clean water. We want safe speed limits. We want to keep our kids safe. We want to keep the animals safe. We want clean air and water. We don't want to hear always about conspiracies, but some of these are not conspiracies. This is actually experience-based things that are going on and that can be improved. And I'm very, very happy that we introduced public comment at the beginning of the end. I love to hear from everybody, and I think we'll all benefit from that. And having these open discussions about civics is a healthy and not a bad thing. And I'm happy to be a part of it. And I just wanted to reaffirm that I respect very much all the people here and all of the many, many hours they spend working on this and the hard work they put into running and knocking at people's doors, and I really get it because I was just doing it. So we all feel strongly about the issues we do, and I'm so happy that we're having this exchange.
And I want to thank the clerks again for their work.
Yes, and thank the clerks for their work as well, and all the people that support us in the administration.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Bernstein. We'll go to Trustee Coburn.
So I've got three sort of good news things. I just want to read something in, and it's just meant to underscore a little bit of what Trustee Bernstein just addressed, why some of these things are important. This is a letter that was sent in the past to a mayor in the village, unanimously by the 5 members of the land use board, saying we've just been informed of the intention to replace our board attorney. As a united board, we believe strongly that our attorney has been an indispensable asset. His consistent professionalism, integrity, and dedication have provided us with unwavering legal guidance, ensuring that our citizens are well informed and compliant. As you may, I'm going to fast forward. As we navigate these times, our focus should be on serving the community to the best of our abilities, and to do so, we believe it's crucial to have continuity and stability within our board. Our collective experience and understanding of the board's intricate operations give weight to our recommendations. We believe our attorney's knowledge and expertise are invaluable to our board. Changing our legal counsel could inevitably impact the efficiency and effectiveness of our board's operation. But that attorney was changed without explanation to the board, without an opportunity for that board to help determine or recommend who the successor was. And I think that's part of the issue that we're addressing here. I would like the boards to have a large role in determining the counsel that they want, and subject to some proper oversight by us, the ability to audit and have some oversight. So I'm interested in working on the right compromise for the things that we have discussed. Now, onto the fun things, or more fun things. At the organization meeting, I thank the first responders and DPW, but I'll echo what has just been said here. The work that DPW in particular has continued to do this week is really amazing. I'm in the construction-related world at times. They've, in my estimation, taken out 1,000 cubic yards of chipped material from our streets over the last 3 or 4 days this week, and maybe more. And and I think they're doing a fantastic job. There's still a lot of work to do, and we've got, I think, hundreds of trees in the village that will have to come down now because they're badly damaged, or the tree that was shielding them from winds is now gone and they're going to collapse. So that's not a direct effect of the storm, but I want to thank them for their work on that. I did also want to just mention Cooper's Beach, if I can find in my paperwork correctly here. I got a report from Matt Weeks on some early operations for the summer. The beach crew rented and picked up 500 items, umbrellas, tables, and cabanas that are rented and used by visitors to Cooper's Beach without the assistance this year of a mule because of vehicle restrictions due to the plovers that are on the beach. And I hear it's plovers like lovers is what I was told, not plovers like clovers, but so they did that all with the assistance of a mule. Over the weekend, they sold 900 daily passes, including Sunday, July 5th, which was terrible weather. That's down from last year, but given the weather, it was a good result. Very importantly, they had their Suffolk County Department of Health inspection for the bathing facilities. I had personal experience with this. It ain't fun. And they passed with flying colors, literally no upgrades required, and no important safety issues, even in need of additional work. So perfect score from the Suffolk County Department of Health Services. For the lifeguards were trained in CPR, automatic defibrillation, and first aid, as happens every year, led by someone on our team, Emmett Wetter. The Village Rescue, Ocean Rescue Junior Lifeguard Program has begun, and the weekend hours are now officially extended starting July 4th weekend. It's 9 to 6 p.m. fully guarded at the beach. So I want to just give that report and thank Matt Weeks and his team for the work they're doing. And lastly, I just want to thank all the residents who are serving on boards and committees, and those who've agreed to serve tonight, and others who may still come. It's a really important part of our village to have that pool that Mayor Epley talked about, pool of people. I think it actually is growing again after years of decline. I think there's an opportunity to grow it for different reasons, demographic and others. So just wanted to thank everyone who is willing to serve on those various boards and committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cohen. Trustee Simeoni.
I just want to comment briefly that I'm so pleased to see the board now is having a healthy exchange of ideas, that we haven't had that for a long time. And also that we're the expanded public comment so that the residents can come forward and speak to us openly and freely at the beginning and the end of the meeting. So that, to me, is so very important. And I am also the liaison to the Southampton Cultural Center, and I just want to remind everybody we have weekly concerts in the park. I see starting on next one, July 15th with the Loan Sharks, and then July 22nd, 29th, the 5th. So please participate, enjoy the good weather and the music in the park.
And Piano Fest on Mondays.
And Piano Fest as well, that's right.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Simeoni. Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree with Trustee Simeoni that the efforts that we've made at the organizational meeting and this evening to broaden the pool of applicants who might be considered for the village committee and board, boards and committees is admirable and good. I did get a comment from a person that I know and who I actually respect, who said, well, the newly elected people basically just want to replace Bill's friends with their friends. I said, I don't think that's really what's happening here. I do think, and as Kimberly Allen wrote a letter to the board advising how it would be better for the village to have more knowledge of the board openings, that we really do want a broader pool of applicants. But that said, the mayor does have the power to appoint, and that's clear. And not everybody is always going to, everybody here, I do believe firmly, is acting in the best interest of the village without trying to advance their own cause or play favorites or whatever. But that's not always the case. And it certainly has not always been the case, even while I've been a trustee with the former mayor, who I felt definitely was acting in his own self-interest in quite a bit of his actions. You can't legislate perfection. Some village attorneys are going to, at some point, probably not give the best advice because human beings are not perfect.
Meaning board attorneys too?
Board attorneys, yeah. Board attorneys, village, nobody's perfect. So we try to make these rules for oversight, for conflict. And I do agree that the more open it is, the more air there is in the situation, the more visibility there is, the greater chance that that malfeasance doesn't go unnoticed and comes to light. And I think that's what we're working on here. But we can't legislate perfection because humans aren't perfect, and we're all doing the best we can to try and do things in a fair, open, and transparent way as possible. I don't think there's ever any intent on purpose to sneakily hide things. I do feel that the mayor probably did not put the things on the agenda because he felt that they were contrary to law on the advice of the village attorney. And I do think we would not want to enact something that is illegal. And Trustee Bernstein, I do agree with you that not every law is written on the plaque of Moses, that there can be some disagreement about what the law actually means. And certainly we see that every day in the courts in the Supreme Court. I mean, you've got 9 of the greatest justices in the world trying to decide what the law actually means. So yeah, I think the stuff should go on the agenda. I would be very careful that I don't think we want the board enacting into our local laws things that our village attorney would be saying, I think that might be illegal, but we would need to vet that and really make sure that that the advice is true. But she's the village attorney, or whoever the village attorney is, going to give the advice to the best of their ability about what the village should do. So anyway, long story short, I welcome the discussions we've been having. They do take a little bit more time, but it's worth it to try and get to the right place, and I think we're heading there. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. All right, I just wanted to begin by reciting an email I received from Steve Phillips, our Superintendent of Public Works, at about 1:30 this afternoon. It addresses the storm event from July 4th. He said a significant storm event occurred at approximately 9:30 p.m. on July 4th, resulting in widespread tree damage throughout the village. Initial assessments indicate that a total of 12 trees were completely uprooted. In addition, approximately 80 trees sustained substantial damage, losing large branches. These compromised trees will require further evaluation and removal at a later date to ensure public safety. The Roscoe development area experienced the most severe impact based on the current observations, with the highest concentration of tree damage and debris. It was especially on Leo's Lane. I added that. At this time, all roadways within the village are passable. The Department of Public Works has made substantial progress in response efforts and is approximately 80% complete with the removal of large trees and major debris. Cleanup operations are ongoing and will continue until all affected areas are fully addressed. We actually have also brought in additional tree removal people to the village, and we have an amazing amount of wood chips. So actually, Mr. Steve Phillips asked me to make it aware to everybody that he is offering free wood chips to anybody that would like them.
Where are they?
And his I think they're at the barn. His phone number is 631-283-4269. So if anyone would like free wood chips, he has a lot to give away. I did also want to mention, it was alluded to earlier in the meeting, that I did extend the emergency declaration beyond Friday until Monday. And that means actually that people will be able to work with their construction and chainsaws on Saturday and Sunday because of the emergency situation trying to remove these trees that are all over people's properties. So again, I thought it was in good judgment to allow people to continue cleaning up their properties and not stop at the weekend if they so choose, because many people might be doing this themselves and they don't have the ability to work on a Monday through Friday or Saturday schedule. People want to do their own cleanup of their properties with machinery, and I want to make sure that they know that they can do that. The town also extended its emergency declaration to Monday as well, so we were following also what the town has just implemented. Other than that, I did want to say that I've got a couple other things I just want to mention. The Meadow Club is offering the village 2 paddle tennis courts if we would like them. Now, the good news is the paddle courts are free. The bad news is to move them and to set them up would cost approximately $100,000. I am told that the value, though, is approximately $250,000. So the question I'm going to ask the board is, do they want to move forward with looking at these paddle tennis courts for public use in the village? Or should we say, no, we don't want to spend the extra $100,000 to set up paddle courts? We don't have to answer that right this second, but probably by the next meeting, because the Meadow Club wants to know what they want to do with these courts, because otherwise they're going to try and get rid of them elsewhere. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and it's something that's come up at the mayor meetings that I attend, is, again, the issue of e-bikes that is becoming quite pervasive on eastern Long Island. And the fact that, again, you're supposed to be 16 years old to ride an e-bike. There are many people under 16 riding e-bikes. I believe it's also the law that you now must wear a helmet. There are many people operating these without helmets. So the county did adopt a law controlling or trying to govern e-bikes. I have asked the police chief to look at that law, and I will ask the village attorney to also look at what the county did to see how it might be applied to the village, because we do seem to have younger and younger people out there on these e-bikes that can go extremely fast. And talk about safety. It's a safety issue not only for the person riding it, but for other people on the road. And so we have to look at what we can do to try and put some parameters around the use of e-bikes in the village. And so, again, Eileen, I would like you to look at the county law, and I know that the chief is also taking a look at it. She was aware that the county had passed a law recently on e-bikes. So we can do that. And with that, I think we will end the meeting, but I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session to speak about some litigation matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. You ready? All right. The village board is coming out of executive session at 9:19 p.m. No action was taken. I will make a motion now to close this meeting of the village board of trustees. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much and good night.